Your next update at 6:30.
Boston, the greatest sports town in America.
We have a farm. I have about 200 pigs here.
We get to spill beers on each other without worrying about spilling beers on people.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Fred, hello. Hello. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
He's naked. He has a sword.
Oopity up with a football.
98.5, the Hub.
Bruins are back from the West Coast.
Cocaine and hookers. Yes. Na 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 na.
Is it okay to use this for the radio?
Yeah. Welcome to the show, you sweet bitch.
It's disgraceful. There are kids listening.
Unless you're a piece of garbage.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are Toucher and Hardy. We're in the Town Fair Tire Studios. Ooh. You can give us a call, 617-779-0985. You can know that we are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel, and you can watch us on YouTube, which I would imagine very close to 100 people are doing right now.
Let's see. Hold on.
I'm going to give him the number because now he's cracking wise.
Now, I say it's
604.
I'd say it's over 100. I say it's 127. That's my guess.
112.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was crazy.
120. 8 more just logged on.
Yeah, once they hear this voice, they know it's time to get with it.
Once they hear those overnight oats caught in the back of your throat.
That's not overnight oats today.
What is
so
it?
The joke's on you. Whatever that pudding is, the acai. What is the stuff everyone eats now?
Acai.
No, not an acai bowl.
Oh.
It's some chia pudding.
Yeah, chia seeds.
Yeah. It cleans you right out. You know what I'm saying? Makes you nice. Do your kids ever stand in front of the bathroom door and make videos of you when you go in the bathroom?
No. No, that hasn't happened.
I'm just gonna choose to believe that hasn't happened to you either.
Oh no, that's happened.
Oh,
it happened
boy.
last night. In the 17 hours I was at the cars with children, I had to go to I went to a game that my son had yesterday under the guise that he was going to be playing, but no, he was suspended from the game. So for being too physical, and the last time he played the team. Well, it's soccer, so who cares? And but it was, I'll say it. So there was a guy, from the other school that, this is kind of funny, that was a parent from the other school. And this is not high level. And the guy's sitting there, and he's, like, yelling and screaming, like, standing next to the sideline, talking to both teams and, like, the refs, and yelling and screaming. I mean, it was really bizarre. And my son came up to me at halftime. I was there with my daughter. Like, you're sitting on a hill. It's a real, big operation. Mm-hmm. And my son's like, oh, yeah, that guy is yelling. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, this might be the worst soccer in Massachusetts. He's like, I don't know what you'd be yelling about. I'm like, he's like, this is a joke. I'm suspended for being too physical. He's saying this to me, but I think the guy heard him. I'm quite certain the guy heard him.
Yeah.
And then he didn't talk the second half. I think that it was a little bit of a reality check.
Silenced by a 16-year-old.
But I think it was a little bit of a reality check. Okay. Have you ever been in a game where someone, Like if I was at a Patriots game, I would have been like, "What are you doing?" Like not don't do it at a Patriots game. Like whatever. First of all, there's like alcohol and like everything else, and you paid and it's entertainment. But I mean, I'm telling you that it was. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone that communicative and yelling, like including coaches, like way more than way more than coaches would do. Like a constant yelling dialogue, which is not, obviously how coaches coach. You don't just sit there yelling dialogue constantly. Right. I mean, you shout instructions when needed, or motivation, or you admonish someone when needed.
I've seen it with one parent towards one side. Like my kids have played soccer the last 6 years. This is the first year they haven't played in the last 6. I've been in a lot of soccer fields. I've seen parents who have good children in the game will walk up and down the sideline. Like one kid was a midfielder, so he's all over the place. His dad would walk up and down the sideline, following his kid around, yelling instructions to him during the game. He's not the coach. Coach is on the other side of the field. He's yelling instructions at just his kid.
To what end? Oh, well, first of all, that's better. But, I mean, it's also bad. Well, I mean, I coached a basketball team when they were little where a dad came out onto the court in the middle of the game
I've
and
had
made
that.
the kid cry.
Oh, sure. I had that in Newton, in fact.
Yeah,
I've had that. In that gym you and I are familiar with.
This is the same thing.
Yeah.
Same league. And so, but that guy knew quick that he had made a mistake.
Oh, my guy didn't know that.
Well, I mean, if the kid starts sobbing, I mean, it's like a bit of a, and then you turn around and everyone's like, whoa.
Well, I had that, but the kid who was the best player on the team I was coaching, it was the end, it was at halftime, and before the kid could make it back to me, the father jumped out of the stands, walked onto the court, met the kid at the foul line, opposite foul line on the way back to me, talked with him for about, 5 minutes. They're alone on the court. Dad's talking to the child, and then the child comes to me. And the guy popped back into the stands. I saw him after the game. He didn't realize he had done anything out of the ordinary. It was really weird.
Yeah, it's funny because during baseball, Milo will look at me like he keeps looking at me like during at bats and stuff, and when he's pitching. And I'm like, don't stop looking at me. Like, I don't even want him looking at me. Like, I don't know what, he's like looking at me in like, for like, what do I do? And I guess it depends on who his coach is too. If it's a good coach, he tends to do it less. But but I don't say anything during games.
Oh, I
don't even cheer.
Did I mention the kid I was coaching was 12? And his dad did that?
Yeah, I mean, that's
12 years old.
How it goes. It's because it's usually my kids never played hockey, but I know people who have gotten if not physical, almost physical in hockey. In football, the year my son played, it was a whole different animal. I think when the game's physical, like when the game is, when there's a chance of getting hurt and there's like you're imposing your will physically. There's more of a chance to get emotionally carried away, which I sort of understand. Like, I think that's much more excusable than just barking an entire game, standing and barking an entire game. It's like, how do you not at some point go, I'm the only one doing this?
Yeah. And not only that, if you're doing it the entire game, it just becomes a drone, a background noise. It's just white noise. So at some point, you're just not going to hear any of it.
And back in the day, I would have said something, especially when he started talking to the team his kid wasn't on. But now I'm just like, I mean, it's not my concern. Because the first time they played and Milo was being too physical, he said something to Milo, and Milo yelled back at him. And so I was like, good. But and so if it was 3 years ago, I would have gone insane on the guy. But I did not. I showed restraint, and I said, all he's doing is embarrassing himself, It's not doesn't seem to be affecting any of the kids, but he sure is embarrassing himself. I mean, and I couldn't even tell who his kid was. That's how much he was just yelling. Like I didn't even know who his kid was.
That's another level.
My daughter and I sat there going, like, I wonder who his kid. I mean, it was like a big scene. You don't understand. This is like kids picking daisies. Like this is like staring at the sky. This is very, very low stakes. This is not. No one here. Like 90% of these kids not only aren't going to play soccer at a higher level, they may never play varsity ever. Like this is it's not
a requirement.
Good. It's a requirement.
Okay. So when my kids were playing soccer, this was Parkway Soccer, which is a huge league, West Roxbury, Hyde Park, like all the Roslindale kids.
I've been there.
Yeah.
They beat off.
So when did they really?
In baseball?
Oh yeah, Parkway Little League is legit.
Oh, it's
Parkway
huge.
Little League opening day. There's a parade down Center Street in West Roxbury.
Mm-hmm.
And the first year my son played, like, come on, we got to go to the parade. And we're doing the whole thing. And then we get down to the field, and who was the mayor? It must have been Marty Walsh at the time. Representative Ed Coppinger. Everyone's there. They're all making speeches. And the kids are dressed up in their baseball uniforms. This is like he's T-ball age, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't know. All they know is they're dressed for baseball. They think they're going to play. And my buddy turns to, because his kid was on the team too. He's like, kids, all settle down. We're just here for the assembled dignitaries. This is a big day for them too. And we're all laughing. They don't play. They don't do anything. You have a parade, and then you sit and watch speeches from local politicians from Parkway Little League.
Same thing in Newton.
Yeah,
there was a thing. I mean, we don't get Marty Walsh, obviously, because it's not the city of Boston, but we get the mayor of Newton.
Right. And Ed, by the way, was great. And he did like a girls flag football league that he started. That was awesome. He was there because he's like, I got to kind of be here. But like some of the other reps that were there and the mayor, they're there because this is a big event for me. Like, these poor freaking kids, all they want to do is play baseball. You make them march down Center Street and then sit in the grass and listen to speeches? This is terrible. But
that's where I met David Backus at one of those.
Oh, why?
Look,
nice.
it's you.
Nice.
Did you tell him you didn't like his house then, or was it later?
No, I said, that's how I found out where he lived. I'm like, why are you here? I'm like, why are you here? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, I live right there. And my kids saw the parade, so they were little. He's like, so they just came in. I'm like, you live there? He's like, yeah. I go, that's Main Road.
Well, sometimes they like that, a little more privacy, ironically, because people can't stop and like look at your house.
Oh, that's a more of an Affleck move, I would think, than a Backus move.
Okay. Well,
I don't know if there's like maps of the stars.
Either that or I'm not going to be here for very long and I don't care.
I think that was what he was going with.
So but the Parkway Soccer, when they would both have games, and you've been to those fields, John.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many games are going on. When
there's one big park, and there are fields up on the hill, and there's satellite fields. There are about 8 or 9 of them in one spot.
If the kids had games at the same time on Saturday, we called that the unicorn. If they had adjacent field games, we called that the pregnant unicorn.
Oh, really?
Very rare. And on the rarest of occasions, both kids played defense. And if you could stand on one field and they were playing on the same end of the field, starting the game or at any point in the game, and you didn't have to move at all, that was the pregnant unicorn with twins.
Wow.
You could just pick a spot, sit right there, watch both kids side to side. But Katie's coach, I think I've told you about him before. Fred.
Yeah.
Jack Miller, 110 years old, coaching Parkway Soccer since he got back from Camp Lejeune. When all those Camp Lejeune ads, they're targeted to Jack Miller because he was given like the poison lead pills, prior to the Korean War, right? Mm-hmm. Jack Miller used to yell at these kids, and again, it's Parkway, it's not travel, it's not anything else. Good soccer players in there. They play that in addition to other stuff, but 7, 8 years old, and yelling at these kids, many of whom have never been yelled at like this by anyone in their lives before. Nathan! God damn it, you're halfback! You're supposed to be playing halfback. He kind of had the Kennedy accent.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
You know, the West
old
Rock-
man. Oh yeah, old
the
man.
old man, old New England accent.
Showtime.
And
This
the
is
kids were
great.
like, what the hell's a halfback? I'm either playing on this side or that side. I'm either trying to score or trying to stop the other team. Isabella, Jesus effing Christ, you're fullback. Get back there, God damn it. The whole game, the old school gray sweatshirt, threadbare, no hoodie. It just a coach on the back. Coach! Wearing a hat like Adam 12, pulled way down. It's just like a skull cap that he's got, and the brim is practically non-existent. He was the best, and had a big party every year for the kids. He'd bring them over to his. They had a pool. The kids would love a pizza party, but that was their reward for getting screamed at for 8 weeks. Oh my God!
Yeah.
He was the best. I got volunteered as a coach for. I'm not kidding you, Fred. It had to been 30, 40 years.
Well, there were guys like that in NAA, like guys that didn't have
yeah.
kids on the teams that screamed and wore jeans.
Yeah.
I just love jeans in a gym. There's something about just guys, gals rocking jeans, or more guys that are involved in the game rocking jeans in the gym. What are you going to put on today? It's Saturday morning. I'm going to wear a little denim coming to the gym and run around.
Clint Eastwood style. I'm going to go for a run. I'm going to put my jeans on.
I always find that, like, it's no, I don't know. Jeans are, everyone thinks jeans are that comfortable, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Saturday at 9 a.m. Popping on some jeans. I'm going to go coach this team. All right. We will be back. There was so much that happened last night. I can barely contain myself. The NBA is in full swing. I don't know what we're going to talk about.
No, why don't you take it?
Yeah, I know. I just know that Milwaukee played the 76ers, and there's a lot of controversy over Embiid not playing this first week of the season.
Yes.
Mixed emotions on him. Some people think it's good. Some people think it's bad.
We'll start with that.
All right. So we'll be back in just a moment.
on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Did you catch a game last night?
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. And Hardy, what's going down in the streets?
Well, you mentioned the controversy about Joel Embiid and the proclamation that he wouldn't be playing back-to-backs, that he wouldn't be playing to start the season, that he wouldn't be playing. Shams Charania had something on this yesterday.
I'm told by multiple sources, Malika, that the NBA is set to start an investigation later this week into the Philadelphia 76ers and this situation surrounding Joel Embiid and whether they are in violation of the player participation policy. It's not black and white in terms of there is no specific injury. Like with Kawhi Leonard, we know he's got that swelling in his knee. With Chris Middleton, we know that he has double ankle surgeries that he's coming off of. With Joel Embiid, it's been a lot of the new normal that we've been told in terms of the periodic time off that he is scheduled to take this upcoming season.
Sham's keeping it brief. I'll tell you, I heard that people that investigated Diddy are on this. This is a real situation. I heard Wilbon talking about the investigation in quotes and saying that the league, and then he caught himself and he's like, I don't mean to make light of this. But he's like, because, he needs his inside in the league, but the league investigates lots of things. They can investigate all day. The league, I mean, what are you going to do? But it's interesting because I heard two people talking about it. You might have too, Hardy. Is that Wilbon, his opinion is, look, when it comes to the playoffs, if Embiid's healthy, no one's going to care in Philadelphia that he didn't play this week. But then Jason Williams, who obviously played, gave a good analogy that I could understand. He said to his radio partner, he said, if you and I are doing a show and we do it every day for 4 months, by the time it comes down to like where we're getting the ratings that matter, we're going to have flow. I'll know what pushes your buttons. I'll know when to lay back and this and that. But if we only work every 9th day together, like we're never going to have that chemistry, which I mean, I think if any job you have that you're in a team or a partnership that could apply and made kind of sense is that, I mean, how important is it? Sometimes I think we take for granted that they're professional basketball players and they're all good. And that I wonder how much like time on court together matters. Lillard was talking about it last night too, because Milwaukee beat him. And Lillard was saying, look, they were like, you're doing such and such with Brook Lopez. And he said, yeah, we weren't on the court together. Like now that, and then he's like, this offseason, the team spent time together. And, we're finally developing that kind of, I know what he can do and he knows what I can do.
Phoenix last year.
Yeah.
Bradley Beal was hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant was hurt a lot. They didn't go anywhere in the playoffs. I mean, you need guys that are there, not every day, but a lot.
Because there's two. I'm sorry, Hardy,
things.
but there's two things I don't buy. There's one thing I don't buy is that like, oh, he's got to be a leader, because I think these guys are too jaded at this point. But I would be prone to believe Wilbon, but the chemistry thing from ex-players, and not that he's like a pussy and that it's not old school, none of that. But the chemistry thing, if it's coming from players, I believe. I mean, it's not outside the realm of possibility.
If you're never playing, or you're playing something literally as infrequently as every 9 or 10 days, yeah, that's going to be an issue. But I still think that the league is what you said, Fred. There's so many good players, and you can at times just go into a game and change things singularly, and that the chemistry, while not overrated, isn't as important as we like to think it is. I mean, when
but in the playoffs,
in the playoffs, and hopefully he'll ramp up, for Sixers fans and be playing more, as they get there, and they'll know what's going on. But I mean, when Porzingis has been like in, out, he's out right now. When he comes back in, are you worried about the chemistry that he's going to have with the guys on the court?
No, but he's the, fourth or fifth most important player on the team.
When he comes back in?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, I think he's
at least third.
He's
if
third.
Not worst.
I think he's third when he comes back in.
You think he's more important than Brown or Tatum?
No.
You said third at worst.
Third in the pecking order.
I think I'd rather have Holiday than him, and I might rather have White than him.
Yeah,
I mean, I think
that's the thing.
Porzingis is a nice thing to have.
He can be obviously a difference maker in a certain series. I mean, the Celtics beat Dallas basically without him. I mean, I honestly, I don't think Porzingis is necessarily a good example, but you look. There's a difference.
Shut up, then.
There's a difference between Porzingis and Embiid. Embiid obviously is the number one option, and the Philadelphia fans and organization have had to deal with this crap before. This isn't the only time.
It sucks if you're a Sixers fan. You bought tickets. You want to go see him.
Yeah, that's true.
But
that's great.
A big part of me says, you know what? Is there a team? They can manage it however they want. And it sucks for the NBA because they're expecting certain ratings. They're going to promote games as a certain matchup as certain players. But if they decide they're good enough to go out there and play a bunch of games without them and they want to save them, they have the right to do that. Now, rules-wise in the NBA, I know they may say differently, and there's some ambiguity there. But it's easy to get around. Oh, no, he's hurt. He's got an ankle. You start monkeying around with the injury report, and that's probably what the investigation is. We'll get into a little bit.
Celtics have been doing it with Horford for how long?
Well, seriously.
Well, it's again. This is an issue of not fans or the league. This is an issue if it's the right thing to do if you're the 76ers. By the way, I'm seeing Shams talk about this. He's a whole thing. I mean, Shams was always I never really saw him except for the pictures on the masthead. He in person. I mean, we're talking about the Valdez oil explosion. The amount of oil in that man's hair.
Oh,
he's the only one.
A lot of product.
He's the only man wearing sunglasses on the set.
I haven't seen it.
He's
a whole vibe, is what they say.
Yeah, it's a lot. Like I think 10% of women are going to be like over the moon, and then about 70% of women. I know that doesn't add up to 100 because there's some, as you just said, ambiguity.
Yes.
But I think 70% of the women are going to be like, if he walks into a room, a lot of cologne, I believe, coming off the guy. Like
you know what? I put a little stink on this morning myself. I was readying myself for the day, and when we were away a few weeks ago, I stumbled upon a bottle of Bay rum, old school St. John's Bay rum, in a little men's shop there in Mystic, Connecticut. I said, you know what? I haven't had a good bottle of Bay rum maybe ever in my life, and this must be good because it's $70. So I'm going to buy it. It must be a good Bay rum. And it did smell really good. I put some on this morning. You want to smell me, Wallach?
Not really.
I'll go over there.
I wear cologne if I go out at night.
All right.
If I know I'll be in the company of a lady.
Wow.
Sometimes I'll eat the paint and put it on the privates.
Can I have your number? Let's go. You know?
Yeah, what you're doing is you're getting ladies' pheromones all cooked up.
Look at that.
Because that's smell.
Spicy, right?
Yeah. It's got that little spice kick
Autumn.
to it.
It's got a nice autumn scent to it.
It does.
What am I wearing it for? I don't know. You know who I'm going to hear it from later? The missus.
Yeah.
I got up this morning after you left. I could smell you put cologne on. What are you doing today? That's what she's going to say.
You know what? Your wife, I'm telling you, Marcy would be happy sitting next to you.
You know what's almost lethal and almost unfair is if you spray yourself down head to toe with Axe and then put a little Dracar on. I mean, that combination, women will float to you.
The chicks come running.
They just grab your balls.
Wow.
They just can't handle it.
How about that?
They need you. I mean, it's all about pheromones.
Yeah, I agree. What do you do? Do you dare go for the trifecta and put a little cool water in there too?
Oh, aftershave? Well, I mean, that's just for my skin.
No, not cool water. Cool water cologne.
I thought.
Yeah.
I thought you meant aftershave, because I will spray my whole body down with Axe, then put on Dracar, then slap some aftershave on too.
Okay, all right.
And then right guard. So I smell like everyone's dad times a million.
There was a record rep who lived in L.A., Buddy Deal. Did you ever meet Buddy?
Oh, no, I was all East Coast guys.
I know, yeah, because I think
Deal, Buddy Deal?
The real deal Buddy Deal used to wear Old Spice. Like,
did he ever?
I mean, it was like kind of his thing. And a total L.A. guy, he'd come in wearing like, the rattiest old T-shirt and, like dirty jeans, but like the coolest brand new $200 sneakers and a Rolex. It was all and I asked him once, I'm like, is this on purpose? He's like, absolutely. I know what I'm doing. And
to get you laid.
Ditto for the Old Spice. It's like you knew when he came into the office because he just drenched himself in Old Spice, and it was this whole vibe that he gave off. Oh, we're the real deal Buddy Deals here.
Yeah, if you that'll get you laid, and I'm not joking. If you wear that, at first glance, it seems like you have a lot of money because you're not wearing anything conventional generally that would give off money vibes. And so people dismiss you, but then they turn around, you got a $40,000 Rolex on.
And like these shoes to be wearing at the moment. Yeah.
And every woman's looking at your shoes. And that's not sarcasm. They are all looking at your shoes.
Oh.
And so, you'd be surprised. There's two things you want if you're wearing sneakers. The approval of A, women, 2, black guys. If you're going into a place and the black guy goes, Pete Davidson does a thing about it, but it is true. If the black guy goes, ooh, I like your sneakers, you go.
It's literally never happened to me.
You just got to go to the
Me
right...
neither.
Compliments on my car.
Whoa,
I love it when somebody compliments my car. Anybody. But if it's like a young, hip black guy, I'm like, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Adam will just get people going, oh, I read that newspaper when they look at his feet. On the account he covers his feet with newspaper. Do you understand what I'm saying? Long way to go for a joke. Hey, it was well worth it. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines.
squeeze the chicken and open the mouth.
It's like we were meant for each other.
This is why you need us.
98.5, the Sports Hub. In the office, in your car, in your footy pajamas, this is how Boston sports fans start their day.
I bet you're just jealous.
Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 the Sports Hub.
That's weird. We were just talking about the Beastie Boys.
Is it though? Or was someone paying attention?
Were you spying on us? Can you hear us in there?
No. When I came in to give Hardy or you your live read for this next break, I heard you mentioning Beastie Boys on Conan, and I figured if you to talk about that, you'd have something to jump off of.
Conan O'Brien, who I could give or take, I don't care either way. He had funny stuff on his show. I didn't particularly care for him, but he interviews Ad Rock and Mike D, and it's like cringy because he's like, you guys did this thing, like, used the BS mic that was, not BS mic that was, never rocked the mic with the pantyhose. And he's like, yeah, we had this band that came in, Adam, I'll tell you this, and you give me your impression. He's like, we had this band that came into 30 Rock when I was doing the show, and they lined the mic stand with panties and bras, and I went up to them and I was like, hey, you might not want to do that. And he goes, it's my thing. And he goes, you don't want to do it, that's not your thing. And you're like, that's not what he's talking about. He's not talking about I never rocked the mic with the pantyhose, in that there's pantyhose on the mic stand, stupid. It's that he uses a handheld mic in the studio. And he doesn't use a screen on a studio mic.
Right, the screens they put in front of like the round, screen. Yes.
Okay, so the Beastie Boys weren't as Hardy was saying off air, they were not technically good rappers, and they were not like, wordsmiths.
Sure.
But they gave a lot of obscure references. There's no doubt about it. And Conan O'Brien's interviewing them, and he says, you know what? He's like, and you guys would do these things that I knew that you were like me, and like, a pinch from the neck of Mr. Spock. And you say, well, that's because in Intergalactic, they're rhyming shock 1,000 times.
Right. Every word that rhymes with shock in this verse.
Because all three of them during that entire verse are rhyming something with shock, and they're running out of stuff. How is it pinch from the neck of Mr. There's no context for it in the song. It's not particularly clever. And they just are like, huh? Because they're not easy to interview. But now I feel a lot better about the times I interviewed them. I interviewed them once on stage at a recording studio in front of a crowd. It was written about the next day in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and it said I seemed very nervous. I remember I was very late because I was stuck in traffic. I had to come right in and start interviewing them, and they were a handful.
Right.
And I've never had the balls to listen to it. I still have it because our station put it out as a CD. Like
back when the stations used to do that, yeah.
Well, yeah, back when stations had money and CDs were a thing, and I've never listened to it because I've never had the balls to listen to it.
I got some moments like that too. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But it would be way better than the Conan O'Brien.
Oh,
interview.
sure, yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as you. I like Conan. I liked his show.
I don't like Conan. I like Smigel. I like some of the characters they had. Yeah,
I like his sensibility. I like his sense of humor. I like him with guests in the context of his show. Like I like when he's interviewing a young comedian or a young TV writer or whatever. That's good.
I like when he's interviewing Norm Macdonald.
Yeah, or Bill Hader. Like I like that.
Sure.
But this, I don't know. I mean, I do know why he's doing. Like he's trying to get a little bit more further on down the road and create the type of content that people are consuming now. But I don't really need Conan O'Brien talking to the Beastie Boys for however long he talks.
Well, that's the thing is if you're doing podcasts,
you got to know what you're talking about.
No, and you also got to pivot from interviews.
Yeah,
you got to pivot from interviews right now. That's the thing.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of Conan. At some point, I just saved the Conan preset on my dash, and I listen to it a lot. And I like him too. I'm with you, 12. I think, and Fred, his sense of humor reminds me a lot of yours, which is probably why you find him personally distasteful, because you recognize many elements of yourself in him.
And I've stolen so much from him.
Yeah. Well, okay, whatever. But like this weird combination of self-deprecating, but is always like belittling his staff in a funny way.
Yeah.
And I also have a thing for Sona Mavesian, his assistant. She's wonderful. But when he's doing the interviews, I agree. It gets weird, and I think sometimes he's such a huge fan, and those are the toughest interviews to do.
That's a good point.
Like, he's a big fan of some of these people, and those interviews are difficult. But when they're just riffing, when they're just, like, talking and, like, telling stories, that's when I think they're at their best.
Well, then that's my point, is then that's what he should do. You got to pivot away from the long-form interview.
Yeah.
That's how Marin started. That's how Rogan made his bones. That these are the things that have been established and done. Now, if audio content's always going to be there, people are going to want humorous audio content or interesting audio content. They are, and they're going to want authentic. You're under a disadvantage too because it's not live, but you could still do something very successful. Obviously, like the smart list thing, but the smart list thing is an interview, but it's not an interview.
Because they have you can tell that sometimes one or maybe two of the guys, when they pull the interviewee up, they don't know, they haven't prepared at all.
Well, it's all in that it's a device for riffing.
Yes.
Like that it's just the guest is just a device to spark riffing and fun.
Yeah.
The sitting down for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours with someone. First of all, if a guy's doing a book tour or doing a tour for media and he's doing podcasts, say he does 30. Say everyone's 2 hours, 60 hours of interview. No one wants that.
Too much.
The guy's not going to be, they're going to be so sick of it. And then second of all, there's not enough people on the planet to be interviewed for that long.
You would like Conan, and maybe you've heard some of it, whenever he has an old SNL person on.
Yes, I would like
That's the
that.
best
Yeah.
stuff.
Smigel, or maybe the hardest I've laughed at that show, and at anything I've actually heard on the radio, was him and Bill Hader talking about and it's about like bits that got rejected. That's where I first heard the hat on a hat thing that he got from the old Update guy who's got his own show now.
Seth Meyers.
Seth Meyers, yeah, like the hat on a hat and why, a certain bit didn't work. That was when I was listening to Hader talking to Conan about
Does he do favors, though, for old friends? Like, I remember he used to have Ellen Cleghorn on a lot on his old show, and she was like one of the few cast members of that era that I just couldn't stand, and she wasn't funny, and he always used to have her on.
And sexist.
Okay. So,
if you don't know, she was an African American comedian. We all love her.
I see.
John's in a very vocal minority.
Right.
He's already voted for Trump.
early voting. Good
Don't
for you.
say that, because now I'm going to get emails.
Where's
Don't
your
say
I
that.
voted?
Or you might get emails supporting you.
Yes.
Where's your
I
I
never really tell what side that happens on.
Where's your I voted sticker?
I didn't vote yet. Fred was being funny.
Oh.
Well, you really should vote in the presidential election here in Massachusetts. Your vote's
Your
going to
vote
mean a lot.
counts. That's right.
It's a great thing about the Electoral College is that the vote matters in 6 states, 5 states.
Yeah, I think
Maybe.
it's 6.
Yeah.
Maybe 6.
Yeah, I was talking to my mom about it, and she's like, "Hey, like, who are you voting for?" I'm like, "I don't know. I might not vote." She's like, "You're not going to vote?" And I'm like, "No. I guess it matters. It certainly matters down ballot, but the presidential election, there's no reason for me to vote."
Ballot questions.
Yes.
That's why.
Yeah, those are important.
That's
have
what
to
gets
study
me to
them.
the polls.
They're like
You know what I'm
7
going
of
to
them,
do is vote against the legalization of mushrooms just to piss off all the dorks that are like, I've been waiting for them to be legalized. Now that they're legal, I think I'll take them because of the huge likelihood of you to get busted with, the 16th of an ounce of shrooms, and then B, the penalty that you would be serving.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, that would be a real fine. I mean, you're talking about some major possession charges.
Fred, before we move on with other things this morning, something else did happen last night, and that was Wick Grousbeck showing up at the Greatest Bar.
Let's save it. Let me write it down because I want to really investigate.
Okay. You're giving it its
Yeah.
own block? All right.
Not its own block.
All right,
but I want because I want to do this. We only have 3 minutes.
There's other actual news
No.
that we can do.
I wanted John to do his thing.
Oh, all right.
All right. So
Sure.
John says Draymond Green
Oh,
was teed
yeah,
up.
right.
Yes.
Draymond Green, without hyperbole, is one of the best college basketball players I've ever seen. You know his size and his role with Golden State. He was so good on Michigan State, a team that he took to the finals, the NCAA championship game, that Izzo in the last minute of a game would have him run point. Like, I can't. Now, he was a fourth-year senior and all these things, but Draymond Green was a great, great, great college player. He did stay 4 years. I was very vocal, trying to recall, on him being drafted.
Oh, yeah, you were all over it.
Fat
Yes.
Melo was drafted in the first round by the Celtics.
Yes.
Green was taken in the second round. Green
Yeah.
will be an instant Hall of Famer. He's still considered by the Ringer as a top 50 player. The record Golden State had was terrible without him and very high winning percentage with him last year.
Players, the teammates do love him. They do.
Well, if you look at their record with and without him, it's like it's insane. All right.
Golden State started their season last night. They won easily over Portland, but Draymond got teed up. And my question to Fred during the break is, how many career technical fouls do you think Draymond has?
All right, so first off, to get this out of the way, I said, well, he's been in the league 12 years. And then Hardy's like, I'm going to look it up. And I said, that's not fair. You got to go with your knowledge. And, John, this is what?
This is the beginning of his 13th season.
Okay, you didn't state it as definitively as he's been in the league for 12 years.
No,
You're
it was
like,
better than that.
No,
I
it
was
was-
just going off the top of my head. Yeah, I didn't know.
No, it's like this. What was he been in the league? 10 years, 11 years?
No,
12
that's not
years?
true, John.
No, he
I
said 12 right off the
I said,
top.
was
He
it
did.
12
I got to
years?
give it to him. Trust me, I would love to say
I'll
Fred's
swing
wrong.
from his nuts some more. He hasn't gotten it right
Well,
yet.
that's the big thing about John is that every time he agrees with me, it's a desperate attempt to kiss my ass. It could never be he agrees with me. All right, so Draymond's been in the league. So this is one game is 13th season, 12 years.
Yes. How
There's
many
82
career
games a year?
Right,
Yes.
right. So you figure how many texts is he getting a year? I have my number.
Okay, so if he got, there's 82 games a year. He's been in the league 10 years.
Yeah.
If he got 10 a year, it would be 800. Correct? My math is correct.
No.
80.
No.
If he got 10 texts in 12 years, that's 120.
You're a little off.
I just made up for like
800.
That was truly amazing.
And he's using a pencil.
The best
No,
part
I
was
just-
he looked at me
I
for
just wrote
affirmation,
it down. I
like,
just wrote
sure,
the
Fred,
number
that's
down.
right.
I just wrote the number down.
Yeah, go with 800. All right, Fred's got 800.
I thought 10 times 80 is what I was doing in my
Yeah.
defense. Because I
Okay.
just had said 82.
Sure.
No one said I'm a math genius. All right, so that's 120
Yep.
over 12 years if it was 10 a year. 120. I'm going to say 250 technically.
Oh, my God. That's
250
way too high.
technicals.
That's
Okay.
way too high.
Hardy.
I'm going 104.
The answer is last night was his 151st career technical foul. Now,
Closest
even
without going
better,
over.
even better, how many times has he been ejected from a game in his career?
All right, 12
this is
years.
good. This
12,
is good.
20.
I'm gonna say
He did not get ejected last night. Just the
Okay.
one technical.
I'll go higher than Fred this time. I'll say 21.
The answer is 19. Fred Toucher, right there.
No, we both went over.
I know, but I'll give
I
Fred
was
the win
one
on that
away.
one. This is to
Hey,
make up
swing
for
for
the
my
800
nuts.
remark from earlier.
I,
Had
in
you- had you
fairness,
not
was
said that-
saying 80, and then 10 times 80 is 800, and so that's where I was.
151 career technicals. Last year was the first year in the last 7 he was not in the top 5.
Why would you go 10
In the
times
NBA.
80?
Because I
10,
just-
10 texts a game over 80 games?
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
It just seems that way.
You got 800 texts his first year. So 800 times 12.
Yep.
960 texts.
What if you found out I had dyslexia with numbers? Then
Boy, wouldn't you
Hardy
feel
at
bad.
98.5 The Sports.
Yeah.
No, I don't have that. All right, so we'll be back in just a moment.
Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
All right, the NBA is back in FanDuel America.
The Bruins and Celtics will both be back at work tonight after getting Wednesday off. The Bruins play the 5-2 Dallas Stars at TD Garden this evening. Ryan Johnston and Bob Beers have the pregame at 6:30 and the face-off at 7 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. The Bruins managed just 3 of a possible 6 points on their recently completed road trip, and they've scored a total of 1 goal in their last 2 games. The Celtics, meanwhile, will be in our nation's capital to play the Washington Wizards. Grandy and Max have the pregame of the team's first road game of the year at 6:30, and then the tip-off at just after 7 over on 105.7 WROR. Sam Hauser is listed as questionable with lower back pain. The 1-6 Patriots host the 2-5 Jets at Gillette Stadium this Sunday. Both teams held their first practice of the week yesterday. First, though, Gerard Mayo had to talk about how his players reacted to his comment about their soft play.
Look, after the game, we're all disappointed. On a long plane ride home, we're all disappointed. And again, it's about getting to Wednesday so we can now focus on the next target. And the guys have good juice, expecting a good practice, and we'll see how it looks on Sunday.
Jalen Polk has been placed in concussion protocol, so he wasn't in practice yesterday, along with fellow starters Ramondre Stevenson, offensive lineman Vidarian Lowe and Layden Robinson, Keon White, and Anthony Jennings. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers was limited at the Jets practice. He's now apparently dealing with a hamstring issue on top of knee problems. Former Jets head coach Robert Saleh has been hired in what's been called an advisory role with Green Bay, and the Rams will host Minnesota tonight. Sports Hub headlines are driven by the Albrecht Auto Group, Zoe's Auto Dealer. Get respect at Albrecht with 7 locations and thousands of new and pre-owned vehicles. Get the right vehicle at the right price now at albrechtauto.com. I'm John Wallach at Boston Hill for Sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
To us, Boston pride runs deep.
I'm a Bostonian!
This is Boston's home for sports.
Bow, bow, bow!
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Is elongating.
Weekday mornings.
Here goes Hardy.
Toucher and Hardy.
I no longer love them.
Let's go. Let's ride.
98.5.
Let's roll the dice.
The Sports Hub.
Look, like I said, my main focus is the guys inside of this building. Not only the players, but also the coaches and the rest of the staff. And look, as soon as we, turn this thing around, then we'll be okay. It comes down to wins and losses. Like, that's what it comes down to. And that's what you're ultimately judged by.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. We are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Do yourself a favor and watch us on YouTube. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub. And then you smash the subscribe button, and then the algorithm kicks in, and then all of a sudden this stock is trading, $15.
400 people watching? How many people watching?
He's on that thing. He's reading the comments.
373. I just wanted to see what they're talking about.
It can be quite toxic, to my understanding.
R.I.P. Phil Hartman. Yeah, but he was still in the. Oh, they're talking about Conan.
Yeah,
they're talking about Conan.
Phil Hartman gets a lot of credit for not doing anything particularly funny. Phil Hartman is like, and I get that he was very important. I guess if you were a cast member, and that he was very reliable, and he might have been a great writer, but I'm not a cast member.
I like his work in So I Married an Axe Murderer. I think he's very good as the Alcatraz tour guide.
There's one character in So I Married an Axe Murderer that carries the film, and you know who it is.
Alan Arkin.
Alan Arkin carries everything he's in. Less obvious. It's played by Mike Myers. It's the Scottish
father.
dad.
The father.
It's the Scottish dad. All right, so
I didn't know there was a right or wrong answer. It sounded more like an opinion question, but
with every opinion, there's a right or wrong answer. Either you're on the side with no pockets, or you're a pocketed individual. All right, so here's the deal. Gerard Mayo.
You have no pockets.
No, I know. 150s all range. Anything less than that, you keep the change. I don't need pockets. All right, so here's the deal: is that Gerard Mayo is under a lot of heat because, surprisingly, the team sucks. I mean, going into the season, there was a lot of expectations of this team making a deep run. No, the team sucks and people are having trouble dealing with it. We all knew this was going to happen. It is a little concerning when a team like Jacksonville, who blows without their best running back, can just run at will for 13 plays in a row in the second half, and teams just put it into neutral. You thought the defense would be better. I mean, you can't be surprised the defense is worse in that they've lost the best defensive coach of all time. Like, Gerard Mayo is never going to be as good a defensive coach or a defensive mind as Bill Belichick. It's just never going to happen. But, I mean, offensively, they were terrible last year, and they won 4 games. So, I would, at one point, I'd like to have Michael Lombardi on to ask him two things. A, if Belichick's so great, why did they suck without Brady? And why didn't they get better? They got worse. Why did that happen? Well,
excellent question.
Well, the players, he picked them. Well, the ownership, what did he want to do that the ownership didn't do? You tell me.
Right.
And then second of all, where would you tell Bill no in a sexual situation? As a heterosexual man with Bill Belichick, where do you draw the line? And those are 2 questions I would legitimately ask him. All right, here we go. So people are upset at Mayo because he called the team soft. Tom Brady, is this on this? All right, so let's go where, you know what they didn't talk about? How when Brady now is the owner of the Vegas team, how the hell he's going to be a color commentator when there's a million restrictions on what he can critique. He can't critique the officiating, ladies and gentlemen, which is a big part of being an analyst, because what you need to know during a game, when there's a controversial call, you need to know the rule and the opinion, and if it's wrong, you want someone on your side, correct? More than anything, like, oh, this is they're running a 4-man front and they're showing blitz, but they're dropping back into coverage. Fine. Like, whatever. But Ma and Pa America, when the game's on the line, want the officials getting the talking to. That's what we want. And he can't do that.
Let's go. Hey, we're back, everybody. Here we go.
And the excuse is, I heard Prince Schrager, they were like, why did he not do that? And he's like, well, what do you expect him to do? It's a paid, as we called, it is a paid thing that Gray buys the time for. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, what do you want him to do? Not do it. Not do the show. Not do it at all. Advertisers not to advertise with him. I'd say too many things suck to do this justice. No one likes it. But here's Brady talking about Mayo. I haven't heard it, but I'm sure I wonder what he can say now that he's a Vegas owner.
I think when we say something like that, Jim, and you say, are they soft? We think that that's almost like a trait. And I think the thing I always learned from Coach Belichick was there's actually statistics that support that. Toughness was about stopping the run and running the football and covering kicks. And if we did all 3 of those things on the teams that I was a part of, we considered ourselves a physical football team.
Oh, so Brady is saying that Belichick had actual quantifiable data for a team being soft. Perhaps Mayo learned this from Belichick, his coach for the entirety of his career and coaching career. Interesting.
And there's years where we couldn't run it. And you're right, at the offense line, we weren't moving people. We weren't aggressive in our blocks. Maybe we weren't decisive. So all those things played a part. But the reality is when you look at like the Lions, they're running the ball well, they're stopping the run. You look at the Chiefs, they're running the ball well, they're stopping the run. So the teams that are tough, and that's, to me, a statistical thing as well. Just look at the teams that run the ball well and that stop the run, and I think that's the answer that you're looking for.
Oh, look at that. Tom Brady. I like what you said.
Yeah, basically agreeing with the current head coach of the Patriots, who said all of those things.
So this whole notion that this was this unforgivable sin that he's lost the team forever because he said it is, according to Brady, there's statistical. I don't think he came up with this on his own. He just said, I learned from Belichick. There's ways that you can quantify a team being soft, but based on those metrics, they were.
Yeah.
They ran the ball for what?
38
yards. And the real thing with professional football, in college football too, is just when a team can just run. I've seen it this year for a bunch of teams. For instance, he mentions the Lions. The Lions in the first game of the season, the game's into overtime, and they just ran up. They took Gibbs out of the game. They put Montgomery in, and they just ran Montgomery up the middle, legit. I think maybe every play of overtime, and they started on the 30, and they just went, and Montgomery scored the touchdown, and that was imposing their will because And we talked to how does a team run against you like that? Well, they just overpower you. They're just overpowering you. And at a professional level, you would think that that's more of an effort thing than it is a physical thing. College, I get it. You're getting run over. But in the pros, I don't care if you're a third. Like, I can get you lose because you have third-string guys in. But third-string guy is still a 300-pound man. You should be able to, like, clog a hole or demand, or shift towards the gap. I mean, get a hand on this, slow the guy down. All right, but then here's Christian Fourier, who now is doing a podcast.
No, this was a podcast with Karen Garigian.
Okay, our friend Karen Garigian.
Yeah.
I've never dined
Karen,
with the woman.
Hello. No, that's Rob Gronkowski. When the first time he had to do a Zoom thing with Karen, maybe it was either during COVID or he had gone to Tampa, and he saw her on the video. Oh, Karen, hello. Like, he was so amazed. It's like a telephone, but I can see
it's
you
too.
in
The screen over there.
Again,
wow.
Go watch Gronkowski on the Pyramid. He was a contestant on the Pyramid, or he was the celebrity on the Pyramid.
Yeah.
It's mean.
Oh,
it's
Karen,
mean.
hello.
Thank you.
It's mean to have him on that. Go look at it. Look at it and think there's nothing wrong with him. All right, here we go. Here is Christian Fourier.
When a coach openly post-game calls his team soft, he's basically challenging them is how I ended it. Is the conclusion that I came to, which I think is such a disaster, Karen. It never works. It never works because imagine you're a player, Karen, and you're in that locker room and you're in that meeting room on Monday, and all you hear about is how your coach called you soft. Take out the context. He just called you guys soft. And you're sitting there going, this guy's an idiot. He makes bad decisions. His play calling sucks. His messaging is completely off kilter. And here is this guy calling me soft. What right does he have to call me soft?
Do we know that his messaging is Fourier, I guess. Do you think Fourier still knows guys on the team? No.
I don't think so. I mean, he's around, so maybe
he's
it.
at CBS scene or whatever.
You know what? This is going to sound like I'm trying to be mean, but I was really honestly surprised when I did that thing the other night with Bourne and Gonzalez. I had like a minor joke ready to go to start the thing. I said, guys, Scott Zolak. And they're like, who? I said, Scott Zolak, he calls the games, but I don't think they knew who Zoe was. And I had to explain. My joke was, don't worry, I don't work with him anymore. Ha, ha, ha. I'm on a different show. So, don't hold that against me. But if they don't know Zoe, I doubt if they know Christian Fourier.
And you said Bourne was charismatic.
Yeah, they were both really good, but Bourne was, like spokesperson for the team good.
Gonzalez not odd looking.
Not odd looking. Just he's
not unusual.
They're
looking.
both young, but Gonzalez, comes across as he's got to be younger.
So you think Bourne could have you think Bourne could have a career in media?
Absolutely.
Huh.
Maybe you get him on the show. Did you ask him to do the show?
Oh well, we had dinner.
Did he order off the menu? Did he order for you? Are you such a beta that everyone does it?
I think it's too early in the friendship to ask favors of him.
No, I know. I'm just kidding. You can't ask someone at a charity event if they'll do the show.
It wasn't for charity, but no, it was not the time.
It wasn't for charity?
Fred, they were leaving for London the next day. They had to pack.
It wasn't for charity?
No, it was for the Oakers company. It was their
sponsorship
thing they do every year.
Now I respect you more. Not sitting there twiddling your thumbs for
I wasn't curing anything.
Yeah, who needs that?
Now, if you're one of those guys, then you completely tune him out. You think he is dumb. You think he is stupid. You remove the filter of goodwill and acceptance and team, and you completely go your own way. It's such a disaster when you resort to that, whether he meant to say it or not. I just wish he had a time machine where he could go back and instead of calling his team soft and then have to walk it back, I wish he would have said, I'm soft, I'm an idiot, I'm stupid, I need to be better. Those guys are giving their all, and I'm not putting them in a position to win. It's cliche-ish, but it is the only safe route to save your team from completely just tuning you out.
Wait a minute. Does the fact that Mayo played and was a Pro Bowler and understands what his team is going through, that doesn't count for anything?
If you go by that and what Brady said, I'm going to take that over Fourier.
I mean, it's not like Mayo parachuted in from a spaceship. He played the game here.
I think that if Mayo went up, and I'll say this, I think Mayo might have been critiqued a little bit if he went up on the stage and said, "I'm an idiot." If he went in front of the media and said, "I'm an idiot, I'm soft, I don't know what I'm doing,"
It'd be 10 times worse.
You think?
Jesus.
I think he might have been fired, John.
My God.
If he stood in front of the media and said, "I don't know what I'm doing, I'm an idiot, I'm soft," I think there would be grounds for what's going on. This needs to stop now. Calling his team soft, frustrated after a game might have been. Let's be honest. Let's not be radio. Standing in front of the media and saying the team was soft maybe was a tactical error. Let's be honest. It's not this unforgivable thing it could never be corrected if it is. He walked it back the next day, and he has access to those guys all week.
Yeah. And the only way it is going to live beyond the next game or two or whatever, if things don't get better or even decline, and at the end of the year they're sitting there at 1-16 or 2-15, and the calls are for Mayo to be replaced after 1 year. People are going to point back to that moment as the moment where he started to lose the locker room and never got it back.
Yeah, if the team doesn't improve over the course of the season and they continue to get run over like that and they continue to make bad mistakes, and if Drake May in any way regresses from where he is, then they'll rightly be calling for Mayo's job because it's something that he's too deep in the weeds to get out of. And people will point to the soft thing, and I'm sure it doesn't help if that's really a negative. But I mean, this team's not going to win 4 games. So, you got to get into the mindset that they're not going to win 4 games. We knew that going in. The Vegas over-under was 4.5. There's people like Joe who and I took his advice, said this is the worst team in the league. There's no way they're going to win 4 games. It's the easiest futures bet in the NFL. And so we all were prepared for this. It's hard while it's happening. But the way they lost to Jacksonville is unacceptable. Like, that's unacceptable as a trend. If the rest of the season plays out where they're getting manhandled and, teams are just imposing their will on them all season, that's a problem. And then you got to have that conversation if Mayo just got a job before he was ready and he's over his head. And that's what was, in fairness, that's what we've been saying even before the season. Yeah. The team's not going to win any games. There's no talent on this team. It's built to build through the draft and sign and sign guys and develop guys, which is the way successful teams build. You've seen the evidence of that. You can't just go willy-nilly in free agency and expect to win. You get a 1-year little pop, but that's no way to sustain success. You seem to have a quarterback, which is very good news.
Yep.
I don't understand all the Elliott Wolf hate. He got a quarterback. If he got May, everything else is whatever. Believe me, Joe Douglas, sorry, it's the Jets, but Joe Douglas, Wilson, Garrett Wilson, he got Sauce Gardner. He got Quinnen Williams. He got Quincy Williams. He got the running back Breece Hall. I mean, this guy's been unbelievable, but he whiffed on the quarterback. He whiffed on Zach Wilson. Believe me, if he would have hit on the quarterback and whiffed everything else, the Jets would be in a much better position right now.
I tell you, one of the reasons why Elliott Wolf is still getting so much, criticism is because they have cap space. They do. They could have. Now, I'm not saying it's easy to go out there and find an offensive lineman. If any team has 2, they're keeping both of them. If you have depth at that position, that's the one thing you don't give up. But to think that you are somehow lacking in personnel and that you have money to spend and you didn't spend it, that's where it's coming back on.
Well, they didn't spend it because the mistake is to go out and spend a bunch of money and get into bad contracts and get a little pop, and then it's going to fall apart. They did it before. And the offensive linemen, the guys that were available were like Tyron Smith, who's 35 years old and can't practice during the week. And by the way, isn't even good. And so you're going to get a 34-year-old left tackle for a year. And for what? Like for what? I'd rather play. I would rather play knuckleheads and see if they can play, quite frankly, than put a 34-year-old guy with two bad knees in there.
For instance, you have a rookie. His name is Layden Robinson. If he is healthy, which has been a coin flip since camp started, he will be a right guard. And Mike Onwenu, who is a good left tackle, you can kick him out there. Look, you're down to the studs of the house here. You got to rebuild from the foundation up. You're just looking for people you can build around.
Yeah, I mean,
Layden Robinson might be one of those guys. They might have lucked out with this center they got off the street, Ben Brown. Who knows? But the point is, this season at the beginning was about finding guys you want to move forward with. That's all it is.
Yeah. And Hardy, you said it. I mean, there's not, guys going into their second contract that are offensive linemen that are available in free agency. There just isn't. They're guys that are falling apart.
You have to draft and develop them. This is, and by the way,
you could bring in a free agent offensive lineman when you're good. You could bring in an older guy. You can bring in a 30-year-old guard or tackle when you're good, but you can't do it right now. There's no reason. First of all, if you're Tyron Smith, will you go to the Patriots on a one-year deal?
You would not.
You go to the Jets where you have a real chance of winning.
Not saying that you could. We all agree it's very difficult, but one of the reasons why you would do it now is you're playing Drake May, and you want to have some protection for him as opposed to 7 different line combinations.
Ayuk wouldn't come here. Kirk wouldn't come here. What makes you think an offensive lineman would come here? A veteran offensive lineman. And by the way, you're lucky you didn't get Ayuk or Kirk.
Not my job, though. That is every once in a while I'll push back and
I get it.
And say, like, look, I can't. It's not my job to figure everything out, but I think we can all agree there are certain things that need to be addressed on this team. And again, just to answer the question, why does Elliott Wolf get so much hate? It's because they have money and they still have issues, and that offensive line is chief among them.
Look, you follow a team your whole life that has been terrible, like historically terrible. You follow the Lions. The Lions are good now. How do they do it? They got a great GM who drafted like crazy and a coach that they bought in, and they have a quarterback.
Yep.
Yeah.
They traded Stafford and got a quarterback back. That's how. I mean, unbelievable drafting. Really, like Hall of Fame drafting on that team. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the...
We're Toucher and Hardy. Tune in at 7:50 for your chance to score a pair of tickets to be at the Garden tonight as the Bruins take on the Dallas Stars with 7 p.m. puck drop. The Bruins unveiled their special edition Centennial Game jerseys, and you can celebrate the historic milestone by pre-ordering one of the, and you know why, 1,924 of these authentic pro jerseys. Visit bostonproshop.com. You know who I talked to yesterday? Dicky Barrett.
Oh, how is Dicky?
Who is in a band called The Defiant. The Boston's broke up, and there was something. I followed the Boston's on Instagram. I don't know who runs it.
I followed them around the country.
Huh?
I went city to city with him. I went on just.
You did?
Yeah, man. I was selling like sport coats in the parking lot.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you were selling pork pie hats in the parking lot, and because they had put something up that said fall tour or 2025, and so I texted him. I'm like, are you guys getting back together? And he's like, no. And I said, oh, and I sent him a screenshot of it, and he's like, yeah, a fan made that. And then I looked closely, and the tour dates, just letters, not even words, just scrambled letters. Yours truly didn't figure that out.
Huh.
Yeah. The tour dates were just numbers with a series of letters. It was a joke that a fan made.
Oh.
The wool was poor, but he's in this band, The Defiant. There was a lot of heat around him because he was didn't want the vaccine. But I mean, that doesn't. Why would that bother me? Everything was mishandled during that time. If you don't want to get the vaccine, who cares? Don't get the vaccine.
I don't know everything with Dicky and people around him. I don't know. I don't know about that. All I know is that every interaction I've ever had with him, the guy, he's great.
Yeah, I'd have him on the show, and if you don't like it, not you guys, but because you obviously have a say. But if someone in the audience doesn't like it, I don't care. I love the guy.
So do I. And it was nice. Like this is my favorite Dicky Barrett story. I had my dog that I had in New Mexico. We had the big festival day. So I did kind of what you're doing now, Fred, as a single guy. Decided I would get a puppy. Like, oh, this is a good idea. Seeing how I'm never home and I want to be out doing stuff. Why don't you get a puppy, dummy? Which I did and loved that dog. He was great. But as a young puppy, I couldn't leave him home alone all day during Edge Fest.
Sure.
I can't do it. So this was in Albuquerque, and I brought him with me to the show and just kind of like had the crate there and, had him backstage, let him out water. And when I did my interview with the Boss Tones, Dickie was like, why is that puppy in that crate? Give me the puppy. And he did the entire interview holding little Lyle on his lap. I
Very
have a
nice.
photo somewhere.
When was Edge Fest? What time of year?
Fall
in New Mexico? What are we talking, Adam? What temperatures fall in New Mexico?
Oh, it's usually like a lovely 50 to 60 degrees. And you know what's great about fall in New Mexico?
It wasn't anything like what you do to your beast.
I just find it odd that Hardy had his dog outside.
I had the dog with me.
Oh, so it could see you. That makes being outside acceptable.
I know you like to treat your dog as this solitary being that just wants to be alone, but actually what they want is to be with their pack.
I'm with him quite a bit, but I can't be with him because I have a job. So you're saying people with jobs shouldn't get dogs, Hardy?
Who's with him right now, or is he just chained to a concrete slab in your backyard?
No, he's chained to a tree. No, he's not chained to anything, ladies and gentlemen. He's free reign of the backyard.
Even more dangerous. I don't know.
Well, you've seen the critters that can get into that
getting you
5x5 backyard.
I'm getting you a doggy door insert for your slider for Christmas.
Fair enough, but I can't let him. He's either in the crate or outside or with me or with one of my kids.
You do this segment alone. I have to go online.
I'm not
shopping.
putting a doggy door in.
Yes, you are, and I'm putting it in for you.
I'm afraid midgets will come in and kill me.
And then we're going to Taco Bell, and we're going to make a day of it.
Oh, you're going to West Roxbury. Scott from Rentham, hello.
Hey, your phone screener DJ is a pain in the ass. Can you play Stone in Love by Journey? That's my kid wants.
Love that song.
We've already
Those
played the three
crazy
songs.
nights I do remember.
We'll only play Fat Bottom Girls. All right, very good. Felger.
Yes.
Played, had something to say yesterday, which I think we all share an opinion on. Entertaining, but here's what Felger had to say. It had to do with the Bruins.
On Saturday night, the Bruins gave up what they thought was a game-time goal in the third period. It was brought back on replay. But afterwards, Jim Montgomery was seen on the bench reaming Brad Marchand to the point where he went down there and gave him a shove in the back. And not like a love tap, not like a shove. Here we are with the Bruins. They don't give up the lead on that goal in Utah. They give it up on another goal and then lose in overtime because they go shorthanded on a horrible David Pastrnak penalty. So then after that, they lose Saturday in Utah. Apparently, Montgomery gives them a day off and then has a real hard practice or puts them through their paces or whatever, where they don't even really practice that well. And then he really mixes up his lines. Okay, so just sort of add all this together. He shoves Marchand on the bench. They lose in overtime. He calls him out, practices him hard, changes up the lineup, and then last night goes into Nashville against the worst team in the league, the only winless team left in the National Hockey League, and they get shut out. Whatever buttons Montgomery was pushing, literally or figuratively, not only didn't work, it feels like it went in the other direction. Jim Montgomery does not have a contract. He's in a walk year, and he's about to walk the plank. He's done. Finished. It's over.
And then he went on to say, why is no one else talking about this? And that's because no one saw those games. No one saw the Utah game. I will
9 o'clock Eastern on a Saturday night is tough.
I'm going to say right now, there's not a chance that anyone, 6 people on this show watched that game. And I'm going to say that no one on the midday show watched the game. I'm going to say no one on the afternoon show watched the game except for Felger. And he probably taped it like a psycho and watched it like at 2 a.m. because, he's out rubbing elbows with the Kennedys. But no one saw it. And so Montgomery's going to get fired because the team, he shoved Marchand and they lost to Utah in overtime and then they lost to Nashville. I like that he cares. It's football season.
And it's game 5 of an NHL season that will extend, let's call it 4th of July of next year. The NHL season is way too long, and the reason why people aren't talking about it is it's very early in the season, and it was a Saturday night start and everything else. But I don't put it past ownership or whoever, Cam, whatever. If things don't go well this season and you're doing the pros and cons for Montgomery to stay with this team, a big check in the con column would be like, you're not getting along with Brad Marchand and you're yelling at him for Marchand's not perfect. Hell, you can hang the Game 7 loss against St. Louis on Marchand as much as anyone else.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's no question he is far from perfect, but is he the problem? Is Marchand the guy that you air out in front of an audience where everyone is watching on a Saturday night?
I'll counter it. Just like Brady was the guy that Belichick took shots at, he could take it and it sent a message.
Ooh,
okay. Yeah. Montgomery, I don't think Marchand is. Look, Marchand, there's no way, if that pissed Marchand off in the moment, there's no way that lingered with him. There's no way that Montgomery's such an idiot that he didn't that he hasn't talked to him. I bet you he talked to Marchand and Marchand was like, yeah, we're just not clicking. You gotta do something this next practice. If I would err on the side of Marchand knew they were going to mix things up and that they were going to kick their asses in practice.
So here's something interesting, too. If you go back to Butch Cassidy, one of the things I heard from a player at the time was, because I asked him if things were really that bad, if Cassidy were hated as much in the locker room as
how is Wags?
Is being
doing
reported.
Okay?
I didn't say it was him.
You didn't have to.
He said he will go after anyone as long as they're not named Bergeron, Marchand, or Rask. and everyone else got aired out all the time. And it's like, hey, these guys aren't perfect. Bergeron may have been the closest thing to it, but why is it that you're only yelling at the little guys? And if you're treating the little people poorly, there's more little people than there are superstars. So to that point, Fred, if he's given it equally to everybody on the team, including Marchand, I could see where that, at the very least, wouldn't turn the room against you.
Oh, I can assure you that Marchand, there's no way Marchand's pissed at Montgomery. Marchand would be pissed at Montgomery if they lose. If at the end of the season they don't make the playoffs or they lose in the first round or second round, then Marchand might be pissed at Montgomery. I know him. I'm not friends with him, but I've been in his presence for how many years now?
Yeah, you talk to him at least once a year for how many years in a row?
I talked to him more. There was a time where I was
Charity events,
talking to him 20 times a year.
Right.
There was a time I was going to practice and stuff. But I'll tell you, there's no way. There's no way. Marchand wants to win, and Marchand can take it. It means a lot for Marchand to be the captain of this team. And I'm not kissing his ass. I'm just telling you the truth. Marchand wants to win, and he wants to set an example. There's no way he cares about Montgomery doing that. And if I'm a teammate, it's the same thing as Brady. I'm going, great. He's taking shots at the veteran who's been here way longer than him. He's taking shots at the captain. Let's go.
Yeah, the captain who hasn't scored yet, by the way.
Exactly. And maybe he's trying to wake Marchand up and going, hey, listen, dude, get with it. So there you go.
Yeah, they got a couple of games against Philadelphia coming up. Philadelphia's terrible. I mean, this has a chance to be turned around pretty quick.
Look, let's not worry about it.
Maybe not tonight against Dallas, but soon.
Let's not worry about it in October. All right, so we'll be back here at the headline.
Sports Hub headlines.
Twitch feed of this is going to be used all around the internet.
Get up.
The cat is finally out of the bag.
Get up.
We're back. Toucher and Hardy.
Get up.
98.5 The Sports Zone.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, and, you know, the Bruins, they unfurled the banner over there in TD Garden.
Celtics.
Not the city. What did I say?
Bruins.
You said the Bruins. Idiot.
Damn it! Damn it! The Celtics unfurled the big banner the other night, and, you know, there is something that is very curious. Very curious. And it is something that is very, very true. Billionaires, with a B, billionaires or the children of billionaires, love to do one thing, and they love to do it in a specific genre. Billionaires love the guitar, Adam, and they love to play the blues.
Sorry.
This isn't the blues.
I tried to get something blue. All right,
I gave you
let me
plenty
walk you
of
through
warning.
what I was trying to do. I'm trying to find a cut from JD in the straight shot because I
Just
thought that would be the perfect
get me
thing.
dumb, but modern blues.
Shambhala.
But everything is like so folky. I thought he was like
He's
a
got a little
billionaire
Buffett.
blues guy.
He is.
He's too Buffety. I didn't know this about him.
He wears a fedora, Adam.
That's true.
That's from the Blues Brothers 2000. Is that what you wanted?
I just asked Adam just to get some blues music, and he
give 12. Run down to your Prius and get your Robert Johnson box set and bring that back up here.
All right, here we go. This wouldn't have been too hard. So, Grossbeck, like James Dolan, like Ernie Bach Jr., like every billionaire, likes to tickle the sixth string, and on top of that, was at the greatest bar with mingling with the normal folk, jamming some blues out at the greatest bar, doing bar chords. If you looked at him,
yeah,
he was just sitting there strumming that bar chords.
Well, he's strictly rhythm. He doesn't want to make it cry or sing. You understand?
Because I think like last year he couldn't have done it because he would have been a big shot of him getting kidnapped. But now that people know it's all his dad's money, and his dad probably wouldn't even pay to get him back, that now he can just rub elbows with everyone. Because before you'd be like, I kidnapped Grossbeck. His immediate family's gonna, like, his wife and everything is gonna go pay for him.
2 days
they don't have any money.
2 days ago, he's laying out on the Boston Common completely unprotected.
I saw that.
Yeah, just out there in his black jeans and his dress shoes, just like the common folk, getting some rays.
Not wanting to be seen at all, just not asking to be, begging to be photographed. Not Captain Cash. But now he can play the blues because now that you know he's only a 2% owner on the team, his dad pulls all the strings. I mean, he's just like you and I.
Yeah, that's right. Boston 25 did do a story about it.
Yeah. What is it about the blues that's got these billionaires all cooked up? Because do you have any friends that legitimately are like, let's go watch the blues?
No.
No one likes it.
But
except for billionaires.
Had they asked, you could have gone out to the greatest bar.
A wonderful person who just happens to own the Boston Celtics.
No, he doesn't.
Very small percentage.
He just happens to own a very small percentage of the Boston Celtics.
Really just kind of like a glorified fan.
A wonderful person who just happens to own the Boston Celtics. Give a Rick Grossbeck on the guitar. Come on.
Celtics owner Wick Grossbeck jamming with the James Montgomery Band tonight at the greatest bar across from TD Garden. And yes, Wick's still riding high from last night's banner-raising celebration.
And then he talks about the banner raising and how awesome it was.
Yeah, why would he be riding high? He's been exposed.
Gave a speech.
You know,
to the
would it be
crowd.
funny if the Jim Montgomery band, who's, by the way, it's the Bruins coach's band.
Right.
If he would have if Wick Gorsbeck was like, hey, mind if I jam with you guys? And they went, no. No, you can't. Sit in the crowd like everyone else. If you get up here, everyone's going to want to get up here. We're the effing Jim Montgomery band.
I wonder.
We're not some hack high school operation playing a talent show, Grossbeck. We're at the greatest bar. And everyone wants us playing here. No one wants us to stop.
This isn't seventh period jazz combo. We're a legit outfit here.
Well, now John Singh was sixth period and Am Singh was fifth.
I wonder if he used his championship ring as a slide. To kind of really get
It was
that.
big enough. Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah,
so
really
cool.
letting it out. Sit down, Grossbeck. If your dad wants to come up here and play, maybe we allow it. But listen, you take a seat, buddy boy. This ain't your jam. We're the Jim Montgomery band. Everyone here came for us. Everyone here likes that we're playing and playing loud. Everyone likes shouting to the girl they're trying to bang. Why play? Have a DJ play songs when we can have a very mediocre, I'd imagine, cover band?
How do you feel?
Jam.
I mean, now it's different for us, Fred. It's been different for a long time for me going to a bar. But how do you feel before then about going to a bar or restaurant and a band gets up there and starts playing?
Okay, I'll be honest with you. If I want to see live music, I want to go see live music. I don't want it while I'm trying to. I would go to a bar either to try to get laid or hang out with my friends and not stare at a band of like people that have no business playing other people's songs. That's not what I want to see in any situation. But if it was like a brunch and there was like a jazz like
Very nice
quintet, then I'm fine. If it's like atmospheric,
yes,
then that's actually kind of fun,
That's
and
right.
and you can distract yourself by watching them. But if it's like a loud garbage cover band or even a good cover band, I don't want that. It's not entertaining, and I don't know if they should be working.
It's happened on a more times than I can count. We've been out to dinner as a family, like at a local place, and I see the band setting up. I'm like, everyone finish up.
Yeah.
Finish eating. We're
Yep.
getting the check. We needs to go.
Okay, there's a bar that isn't around anymore, but it used to be a 2-story bar. In the top, they had live music, and not live music like the scene, like not like a music scene, live music. Because God bless those venues, like with bands that are like part of something and trying to create something. I'm not talking about that, but they had a space where music could play. And then they had the downstairs, which was a regular bar.
See,
I don't
that's-
know if everyone walked
That's
walked up those
much
stairs.
better. Much better.
Yeah, if you
When
have a
you're trying to
dedicated
avoid-
space for music,
right?
That's great.
Go to a sports bar and you're trying to enjoy the game, and then you see these people start tuning their instruments over in the corner. You're like, all right.
Look, every great band started off with no one knowing them. So if you are part of like a scene and you want to go see live music, I'm all for as many venues as you can have, small venues. I'm glad Great Scott's back. I'm glad all these things. It's fantastic.
But that's going to a show.
If you want to go, and if you just want to show up to a place, I mean, that's how Television and the Talking Heads and
Yes.
the Ramones and Black Flag, and that's how the Bad Brain, all these bands existed at one point just asking if they could play.
Right.
But they played a dedicated space.
Right.
Like when you went to CBGB, you said, I want to go to CBGB. When you went to Great Scott, you said, I want to go hang out and listen to music and hang out with people in the scene. When you're going to have dinner at a sports bar, I don't want to have a band play.
Fred, very briefly, Thomas O'Malley just emailed in moments ago and said, what if Wick had gone up and asked to play with Jazz Wallach? Like, hey, my team just won the championship last night. You mind if I sit in with you guys for a minute?
Hey, Whitey.
Yeah. Wick. My name is Wick.
Wick me up some of that sweet heroin. You want to play? Give me that ring. Well, no,
I can't give you my ring.
Give me that ring, bitch. If you want to sit in with the greats, you got to pay the price. Give me that ring.
Well,
give me that ring.
Do you want to take a picture with it?
Eli keys to this thing. We're going to go down to the pawn shop. Give me that ring, man.
No, I just
Let
wanna,
me play with it.
I just want to get up and play guitar with you guys for a few minutes. I'm pretty good.
I'll trade you a honey bun for that ring. You take a bite of that honey bun, I own you, baby. I don't care.
I own the Celtics.
Let me meet your daddy. Your daddy mean to you. I'll be nice. I'll be nice to you, baby boy. I let you. You own 2% of the Celtics. I'm gonna own 100% of that ass.
That's it.
Be caller number 10 to the contest line, 617-931-0985. He'll score a pair of tickets to be at the Garden tonight as the Bruins take on the Dallas Stars with a 7 p.m. puck drop. The Bruins unveiled their special edition Centennial Game jerseys, and you can celebrate this historic milestone by pre-ordering one of the 1,924 authentic pro jerseys. Visit bostonproshot.com.
Is there a scenario where he could actually turn him out instead of just, keeping him for himself, like actually put him to work?
It depends. I'll let you sleep in bed with me. But that come with responsibility that you got to earn. You sleep in bed with me, baby. Shh. Meet me at the diner 4 a.m. You better have a bulge in your pocket, and I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about big water keg. I'm gonna flip it from hair on. Make daddy feel right. Let daddy get straight. Daddy needs a wake-up shot. All right, we'll be right back.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports. Your home of the pass. Yes. 98.5. Beasley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines.
The Bruins will try to bounce back from a bad loss in Nashville Tuesday night when they open up a 3-game homestand against Dallas this evening at TD Garden. Ryan Johnston and Bob Beers have the pregame at 6:30 and the face-off at 7 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. The NBA champion Boston Celtics will play game number 2 of their regular season tonight at Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. against the Wizards. Sam Hauser's listed as questionable with lower back pain. Grandy and Max have the pregame at 6:30 and the tip-off at 7 over on 105.7 WROR. Patriots don't play until Sunday. They'll face the Jets at Gillette Stadium. Gerard Mayo announced yesterday wide receiver Jalen Polk has been placed in concussion protocol, so he was not at practice yesterday, along with fellow starters Ramondre Stevenson, offensive lineman Verdarian Lowe and Layden Robinson, Keon White, and Anthony Jennings. Drake May was out there. He and the offense have struggled, but he said yesterday things are going to get better.
Got a young team just in the receiver room that, the tight ends got a better understanding of, they've been a lot of different concepts and offenses. So I think kind of the young guys are starting to figure it out, and I think here you're going to see it click, and I think we got some talent on offense. I'm looking forward to seeing when that happens.
Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers was limited at his workout yesterday. He's now apparently dealing with a hamstring issue on top of knee problems, and Week 8 of the NFL season begins tonight with the Rams hosting Minnesota. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the new fall flavors at the 99, like the freshly baked home-style chicken pot pie packed with chicken and topped with a buttery, flaky crust. You gotta love the 9s. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
Listen to it, laugh at it, get mad at it, agree with it, argue about it. It is Boston Sports. Boston Sports. And it is all we do. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Toucher and Hardy.
Such an fantastic explosion.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
We interrupt this program for breaking news.
I can't use it.
Newsflash.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, and we're brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us on YouTube. Search the Sports Hub on YouTube, and it's up there all day. And if you hit subscribe, then you get small videos of the station that really help the bottom line here. I got something that maybe only Adam will know or can get, and maybe not even, but I can assure you, not only no other sports talk show will mention this at any time, but no radio show at all, ever, in any format or podcast.
Good tease.
Guess who has a line of socks and mugs out? What band? If you had to guess the least likely band in the history of bands, rack your brain. Let's not spend a lot of time of it because no one's going to know the band. Maybe you will. They're
really obscure, really obscure.
Really obscure, but they would be the least likely band, known for staying in hovels, known for complete anarchy, just like the
Chumbawamba.
The punk
Screwdriver.
No, people get in trouble all the time for wearing Screwdriver memorabilia.
Walmart was selling it on their website a couple of weeks ago. Whoops.
Yeah, that happened to some producer. He was wearing a DJ. He was wearing a Screwdriver shirt, and they're like, and he goes, I didn't know.
Yeah.
So you just pick
knew.
up band shirts?
Yeah, you knew.
No, he didn't. He's such a poser. He just went, this looks punk rock. Yeah. Screwdriver, if you don't know, is
a Nazi punk band.
A Nazi punk band.
Yeah.
Tripmaster Monkey.
Crass.
Oh,
Crass have a line
I get
of
Crass
mug and socks.
That's great. Yes, the anarchist punk collective.
Yeah.
Yes, that's good.
Like literally homeless.
Yeah.
Punk,
living in flop houses.
Like the anarchy do not use money.
When's the last time you listened to a Crass record?
Never, ever. They're horrible. But I just wanted you to.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
I just saw on the internet they have socks out. All right, Hardy, what do we have today?
A couple of news items. This one is from many years ago. It just came across my radar recently. We're coming up on, unfortunately, the anniversary of this poor woman's death. But on this particular instance, they were celebrating the 110th birthday of a woman named Flossy. For this, we go to Spokane, Washington.
You got to figure if your name's Flossy, you're old.
This is not someone born in, let's say, the last 50 years.
Yeah, because we called her Flossy because she had floss, and she was the one person who had all her teeth
it was more of a sign of degradation.
So they said,
oh, look at Flossy with the teeth, the white.
They send a reporter out to interview Flossy, 110 years young, and they ask a question from the studio as well.
Flossy, you say you're a little tired this morning. Is that right?
I am tired.
Oh, I've heard this before.
Yeah, I have too.
This escaped my attention for years.
You've never heard this? I've played this. I'll play it, but
this is
I've
for
heard
Hardy.
this.
Hardy, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, if
Yes.
you've never heard this, I have heard this before. This is from a while ago. Okay, I've heard this.
Flossy, you say you're a little tired this morning. Is that right?
I am tired.
She is very...
Why did you even, we've talked about this before, but obviously, Hardy, you're asking the question, why did they go to her?
Why did they
They
go?
met her, and they realized, let Flossy be. No need to talk to Flossy. No one needs, this isn't covering Nam from a foxhole. No one needs to know it's Flossy's birthday. You could say happy birthday, Flossy, and you could show a nice still picture of her.
I am tired.
Yeah, Flossy doesn't want to be on the TV. Again, audience, I understand some of you have heard this before, but I'm going to tell you, just Hardy has it, and as a lesson, when the 110-year-old woman, she doesn't want to be on it. She has no control over any of her functions. They're not happy.
Very tired. That's actually, I heard, your favorite activity to do at the center here is to take a little nap.
Take a nap many times as I can.
Yeah, see, that's not like a fun ad. That's sad. I heard your favorite thing to do is just rest and hope you never wake up.
Take a nap many times as I can.
I just hope that it's the last one. I don't like being awake all that much.
Oh, man.
Sweet, sweet sleep. I think of my old Wilbur. He died 40 years ago at 70.
Flossy, old enough to remember World War I.
Flossy, by the way, you know what is interesting about her? 24-year-old boyfriend. But you think it's just because there's something weird going on. Philosophy. Right. Graduate of a local university. Signed the textbook with her number. Where's Charlie? He's 24. He's going to take some selfies of us.
Hold on, I'm doing the math real quick. How old is Nick?
Oh, I can do the math. Belichick's is old. Flossy's, the age difference between Flossy and Belichick is less than the age difference.
Nick's 38.
Oh, no.
I don't want Nick. Flossy's 110, Belichick's 72. How many years is that? That's 42 years. The girl's 24, Belichick's. Do the math for me, you a-holes, instead of huh?
Wait, what did you give me the numbers again?
72, 110.
28 and 10. 38.
There you go.
Go ahead. 38. What did I say? I said 38.
I thought you said 24 or something.
Oh,
No,
after
you said 40 something.
No, I said 38.
Okay.
Or maybe I didn't. 38 years. What's the difference between 72 and 24? Oh, yeah. It's
48.
Geniuses.
48.
48.
48.
Yes.
So what was the first one?
38.
So Belichick's 10 years older than Flossy is older to Belichick, if that makes any sense. Well, one of you idiots get a pencil or a calculator and
What do you want to know?
Right
There's a bigger age
I'm
difference.
talking. Does anyone who ever works on this show understand that I'm talking?
Yeah, but no,
John,
because
you
we're not
can back
listening.
off. I know you're not, and fair enough. But someone, John, you can get away
There's a
with not
bigger
talking for
age
2 minutes.
difference between Belichick and his girlfriend than Flossy and Belichick.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well spoken.
So,
Thank you, Hardy.
If you're listening, Belichick's girlfriend, if by some miracle Belichick becomes the oldest living person on the planet, you'll be 70. You'll be your boyfriend's age. You want to have sex with Flossy? The male version of Flossy?
Not one bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so here's your future. You're 72. Medicine is advanced. You're vibrant. 72 is the new, 32.
Sure.
You're living life. And then you go up and you go, hey, Bill, you want to stick it in me?
Not one bit.
Okay.
We can move on.
Bill, you want to open your eyes?
I don't know. I don't fight it.
That's your future, honey.
Let's move on from Flossy because I really want you to hear what happened in Arizona. Okay. We're going to go to story number 2, which happened recently, and thank goodness, spoiler alert, the man is in custody for what he did.
I have to take this real quick. Bob, go ahead.
Fred, I'm a proud graduate of Westfield State University, okay? We got Fitchburg State, we got Worcester State, we got all these great schools that you're always putting down.
I didn't put any of those schools down. That's completely unfair.
All right, just because I got a 1.8 my freshman year.
So did I. So did I.
I partied hard. I did a lot of
So did I.
I got a 1.8.
So did I.
I rallied, and I ended up getting decent grades, and I graduated in 4 years.
This is unfair, Bob. Seriously, I went to Rollins, which is no great shakes. I don't know why you think I'm making fun of your school.
All right, now, like all freshmen at Westfield State, we all lived together in a dorm. We all drank way too much, and I got a 1.8, Fred.
Yes,
My
I
dad
did the
wasn't
same.
happy.
I did the same. I was on academic probation. I couldn't join a fraternity my freshman year. That's unfair. The thing about, you have to understand the context of the Belichick's girlfriend thing, is that she's so brilliant and so philosophical and such an academic, you go, oh, wow, it's like a Nobel Prize laureate, right? It's Doogie Howser. It's someone at MIT that's invented like a leg that works for people that have amputated legs. Nah, it's a girl at every college like we went to. That's the point, guys. That's the joke. The joke's not the particular college or where you went to college. I don't like explaining it. The idea is she's this super genius that people her own age that she matriculated to college with are too beneath her for her to even have a conversation with. She needs a man of age and wisdom. And then you find out where she went to school and she went, the point is she's just like us.
Not one bit.
She's no smarter than us. That's the point, guys. I know Bob was joking around, but I mean, that's like, I don't want to explain the joke anymore. It's not the particular college. It's not true.
Well, they took it very personally.
Some people did, and I didn't mean it that way. Believe me, when I'm insulting you, you'll know. You'll hear fat bottom girls. All right, go ahead. What am I listening to here? We got time.
We go to Arizona for this next story.
A typical morning for this Gilbert mom turned into an unsettling experience. In this security video, you can see Chanel at Superstar Car Wash. She's vacuuming her white SUV when all of a sudden, a stranger crawls under her car.
At one point, you can see his head pop out on the driver's side looking up at me.
Police identified that man as 28-year-old Jesse Johnson and say he snuck and hid under 3 different women's cars at this car wash on August 29th. The reason? A foot fetish.
Where's the story? Maybe he needed to see maybe he was trying to help this damsel in distress. I heard a grinding in your car. Take off your shoes. I work at Valvoline. Hello. No, Valvoline won't do it. You want me to change your oil? Sure, take off your shoes. Oh, I spilled some oil. Don't step in it or do.
Do or do not step in it.
I mean, it's up to you.
Not to me.
Dealer's choice. Oh, would you mind getting out of the car? Oh, you have sandals on. Whoops. I seem to have poured a bunch of gasoline on your feet. Oh, no. That won't do. Don't clean them yourself.
All of the victims had flip-flops and shorts on. That's what we all had in common.
Well, in fairness, it's better than if they had skirts on. I mean, I'm being dead serious.
Oh, yeah.
Because I thought it was going to be an upskirt thing that I wasn't going to be able to make fun of because that's like bad stuff. And now listen, this man should be in jail. Boy, do people like feet. And they're so accessible. Like you could see these ladies' feet without getting under their car.
But you get a much better angle when you're under the car at the car wash. So they're vacuuming and the foot is moving and contorting in different ways as they reach in the vacuum to get the floor mats. Oh, That's the good stuff.
Because the thing is that you're so fortunate to have that fetish because it's by far the most accessible body part.
He didn't just look at the feet, though.
Okay. Because I'm telling you, like, you could even, we've talked to bartenders. You go to a bartender like, hey, I got $50. I love feet. They'll go, all right. They'll put the foot on the bar. It's up to the individual.
And police say this is not the first time he's done this. He's been arrested more than once in Nebraska for similar crimes where he's attempted to look at, touch, or lick feet. According to court documents, he even admitted to law enforcement that he is sexually attracted to women's feet. And at
I hate to admit this. You're going to make fun of me. Guys, I'm a real piece of trash. Where's your billy club? Go get it, and I'm going to inform you of something.
Don't you dare get that lady officer in here to kick me. Don't do it.
That mace will be necessary once I shamefully admit my secret. Yeah.
times can't control his sexual desires. Johnson was arrested this week. He's facing voyeurism and disorderly conduct charges. Car wash general manager Reyes Brito is relieved.
Justice, because that's not okay.
Hey, come closer. Come closer. You're coming into the car wash. Come closer. Why? You need to move an inch. What are you doing? Why do you keep telling me to come forward? The car's right in front of me. Instead of doing that, be looking for guys staring at feet.
And the sheriff's office tells me he is still in custody tonight. Bail was set at $10,000, and he's due back in court on October 1st.
So I went back and looked at the stories from Nebraska. In one incident, a woman was pulling into a parking spot, and the woman said, "Kids, don't get out. There's a car pulling in next to us." Shortly after, the kids screamed after seeing Jesse Johnson get out of his car and go under their car. So pulled in next to him immediately, slid out, and went under the car. This was his MO, to get under the car so he could look at the feet.
Yeah, that's more than a foot fetish. That is a particular fetish that's going to do him no good. I mean, that's a very... Men are... let's meet Jesse's mom and figure out what's doing with that. You know? Sure. That is it. Men are very... You don't hear women running around doing this stuff. This is a... Men have been so damaged by their mothers that this is... What do you like to do? I like feet. All right, a lot of guys like feet. What do you like? Foot porn? What do you do? You on Wicca feet? Oh, no. I have to be under a car to get sexually aroused. The only way I can do this is if the sweet feel of gravel or asphalt is on my belly.
Arrested in the parking lots of Lincoln Family Medical Group, the Lincoln Walmart, and TJ Maxx. On that fourth incident,
He likes ladies on a budget's feet.
he was fined $150. So finally, after he moved to Arizona and started doing this, that's when he actually was sent to jail.
Well, I believe he should be in jail. Yeah, he should have court mandated. They got to get to the bottom of why he needs to be on the ground under a car.
A foot fetish.
Yeah, that's it.
You're giving us a bad name. Do it like the rest of us. Pay a lady to step and vomit. Yeesh. Did you even make a financial transaction? Okay.
Poor Jesse.
Poor Jesse. He's been a very bad boy. Jesse, come on. Buy their socks on eBay like everyone else. That's what the dark web's for. Trade. All right, we'll be right back. Dave Richard always follows a home run. I'm sure he loves it. We'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports.
Toucher and Hardy. Dave Richard is the fantasy football guru at CBS Sports. There's 3 ways to link up with Dave Richard and his fantasy football advice on X at Dave Richard, live on YouTube every morning by searching Fantasy Football Today, and 3 times per week on Fantasy Football Today on CBS Sports Network. You can check your local listings. And Dave joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Hello, Dave.
Hello, Frederick. How are you?
I am doing well. For the first time in my career in fantasy football, I am 5-2 in second place in my league. A league that includes John Wallach, and I beat John. When not last week I beat Roach, a little revenge game.
Because poor Roachy.
Well, Roach is the guy who heard you on the show last year. You suggested a guy to me, and I was literally getting him while you were telling me, and Roach swooped in and got him before me, which I thought was a JV move. Don't you agree?
No, I actually think that that's like 3D chess, and I expect nothing less.
He's a self-professed everyman, like a nice guy, Disney guy, like big idiot. All right.
Well, I don't know about big idiot.
Well, he's a Disney guy. All right, listen. There's been a lot of movement, a lot of wide receivers moving. You have Adams, who shined brightly in his debut with the Jets. You have DeAndre Hopkins. You have Amari Cooper. What's up with the wide receiver market? What are you seeing with the addition of these players, and what is their success for the rest of the season?
Well, we've talked about Adams and we talked about Cooper, and Cooper barely played. He played like a little more than a third of the snaps for Buffalo, and he still caught a touchdown, still had a good game. So,
and you saw the play he
scored
the touchdown on. It was widely shown because he didn't know the play.
Right.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, he's turning to the receiver next to him. I don't know who it was.
Telling him Keon Coleman. He's telling him what route to run.
Yeah, and Keon Coleman's going like this, and he's like, Cooper's like, I don't know what to do. So Cooper, it looked like, just ran straight, and that was how good the defense was.
I thought it was I whatever it was, Cooper did the job right, and I think that there's definitely optimism for him to maybe even be a low-end number 1 fantasy receiver. People are starting him. They know what to do. I know, and people are still going to start Devontae Adams. I told you that it would take a half for him to get acclimated to Aaron Rodgers. Maybe it'll be a game and a half for him to get going, but they play the Patriots this week. I think you can expect Devontae Adams.
Let me ask you to follow up on that.
Still do well. Go ahead.
What is it with Aaron Rodgers? Because, again, Dave Richard watches every game. He's the only guy I know who watches every single NFL game every week. What is the deal with Aaron Rodgers? Why, in your opinion, is it so difficult for receivers to acclimate to him? Because everyone's having a very tough time this year.
Well, it's a little weird in the case of Garrett Wilson, although I think he and Wilson are finally getting on the same page. I think we saw that the week before. But there were still little things that I noticed in the game last week where Wilson and Rodgers just may not have been on the same page. Although in this instance, I think it might have been on Rodgers. That first interception, Robert Rodgers double clutched before he threw the football. If he doesn't do that, that's a completion. He did it, and that allowed Beanie Bishop to undercut Garrett Wilson on that play. I just think that, like, precision is a real thing. You could ask any great quarterback about it. They need to have it and demand it from their receivers, and some receivers just might not gravitate toward it as fast as others. And in the case of Devontae Adams, I'd have to go back and look, Fred, but I'm sure that there was a growing period or some development needed for Devontae with Aaron Rodgers when they were younger in Green Bay. But being on the same page is a real thing. These are coordinated plays that these teams run, and the receiver has to be in the right spot for the quarterback to throw. That trust has to be there. Otherwise, the quarterback's not going to throw it. And so I think Rodgers demands that. I don't know if he's necessarily rude about it. I don't know if he's like Shooter McGavin to his caddy every time a receiver makes a mistake in practice, or if he's cool about it. I just don't know. But those types of things, the interpersonal relationship goes toward building that trust, and if it's not good, then I don't know if it makes it longer or shorter for wide receivers to get it. But if Alan Lazard can get it, then Garrett Wilson can eventually get it, and he has. And Devontae Adams will be right back up to speed. The thing that I notice is that I feel like Rodgers makes his decisions a little bit slower, that double clutch being an example. And I don't think his offensive line is particularly good. And I'm nervous about it now without guard Elijah Vera Tucker playing. That could be a serious blow for the Jets.
That's every year. Vera Tucker can't stay healthy.
It really is.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay, so Hopkins went to Kansas City. Kansas City's undefeated. Fantasy or otherwise, I don't even need. It's not always fantasy with you. Fantasy or otherwise, how productive is Hopkins in this Kansas City offense?
I think he should be fairly productive. I just wouldn't expect DeAndre Hopkins to be the same guy that he was in Houston or in his early years in Arizona. I think he's still going to see plenty of targets. I think he's there to play on the outside and kind of replace this Justin Watson, who's been like a veteran, who's been with the Chiefs for a while. He knows the routes to run. He's just not necessarily somebody that Mahomes looks to target game after game. He's going to throw, and he's going to learn to trust DeAndre Hopkins, who I don't think he's very fast compared to other receivers in the NFL, compared to how he used to be, but he can still run routes very well. He knows how to beat zone coverage. He can find those holes in coverage, and he and Mahomes can hook up on him. He's got really good hands, and he can win contested catches. Those are all things that the Chiefs need right now to get their passing game going, especially in the red zone. Think about how they've been running their plays inside the 10-yard line. It's been more horizontal than vertical. Now they can be a little bit more vertical, and Mahomes can just throw those high balls up and let Hopkins go up and jump for him.
Yeah,
so I think that's why he's there. And not that he's going to be great for fantasy. I think he's certainly now rosterable. When he was with Tennessee, I don't even know if people wanted to roster DeAndre Hopkins. In fact, we heard stories about people cutting DeAndre Hopkins on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, he's traded to the Chiefs, and they're going, what have I done? Because you want to have DeAndre Hopkins on your team as at least a number 3 receiver.
Hey, Dave, has Mahomes had a guy that he can just throw the ball up to and have the receiver be the type of guy? It's like, no, just get it up in his zip code. And I heard someone else discussing this. The first name I thought of was the closest thing I could come up with was Kelsey. But he's, as a tight end, it's his size that allows him to just kind of, grab either a 50-50 ball or just one that is, it's in about the right place. But Kelsey is the type of guy who might make that grab. But in terms of a true wide receiver, has Mahomes had that guy before?
No, and usually it's because this offense prefers speed over size at wide receiver. And think about Tyreek Hill to McCole Hardman to Xavier Worthy, even Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Like, these are fast guys. They want those receivers that can take the top off of a defense, force the safeties to play back, and that opens up receivers underneath. So let's just say that the Chiefs were to use Xavier Worthy as more of a decoy, and they just have him run downfield as fast as he can. That should take 2 defenders with him. It should open up space underneath for guys like Kelsey, for guys like Hopkins, and even for the running backs to catch passes and not necessarily get those big splash plays of 30 or 40 yards. But, you grind it out 10, 15 yards at a time. Maybe you break a tackle and you take a 10-yard play and you turn it into a 25-yard play. We've seen Kelsey do that. We've seen Hopkins do that, although not as often as we used to. And in the event that teams kind of dare the Chiefs to throw deep and they really focus on the middle of the field, well, that's where Worthy can and has beaten defenses this year on the deep ball.
All right. My phrase for 2024 has been feel versus real. And it mostly has to do with the golf swing. But, Dave, there's got to be something relating to fantasy and specifically this week's matchup where you feel like something should be the case based on a certain matchup. Like you feel like Aaron Rodgers is going to have some kind of a get-right game against the Patriots, or you feel like the Lions are going to destroy Tennessee. What is an example of feel versus real based on this week's matchups and what you feel may not be the actual reality?
Well, I think people see the Commanders as a contender, but they aren't expected to have Jaden Daniels, and so I don't know if expectations can be the same. And they're going up against a Chicago team whose defense is rested. They're coming off the bye. The offense should have a new wrinkle or two. And the Commanders' defense has looked pretty dang good, but they looked good last week against the Panthers. Everybody looks good against the Panthers. So I think relying on Commanders players this week might be a little bit of a mistake. And if you didn't watch the Sunday night game, and you just see Russell Wilson and those stats, you go, oh, man, crazy that Russell Wilson had that good of a game. This Jets defense must be terrible. Yeah. Well, I wonder if the Jets are going to end up being a good defense with Hassan Reddick rushing the quarterback. I think part of the reason why Russ had the game that he did was because the Jets could not get pressure on him. Having Hassan Reddick back, that's going to be a problem for Drake May, who looked cool and calm in the pocket against the Jaguars. I think that's why he had a good game. I think it'll be less so this week, even with the Jets secondary a little bit depleted. So maybe all that talk about the Jets kind of falling off, I think that they could actually turn it around and start this week against the Patriots. The Commanders have been playing well. I think they could actually fall off this week without Daniels. And even if they had Daniels, I'd say the same thing because that Bears defense is so good.
Injuries and quarterback changes happen every week, and this week is no different. Is it worth picking up any of the Tampa Bay receivers now that Godwin and Evans are out and Tua looks like he's back in Miami? Do you go back all in on a guy like Jalen Waddle?
Well, I would say yes on the Dolphins, and Tyreek even had a talk with the media yesterday and said, "Yeah, get me back in fantasy. Everything's going back to normal." He was cursing. He was excited. I'm ranking Tyreek Hill as if he's Tyreek Hill, and I'm ranking Jalen Waddle as if he's a low-end number 2 fantasy wide receiver. And there's so many injuries. You talked about what's going on in Tampa. There's other receivers that are out, certainly in San Francisco, and it makes Waddle kind of pushed up a little bit. And so I buy into the Dolphins offense going back to what they were with Tua Tagovailoa for the game and the half that they had him in.
All right, that is it. I would ask you about sleepers, but I don't want people to know because no one on my team's hurt, and I don't want anyone to get that information. And you can all blame Dan Roach for that. Dave Richard, you can look at him on Twitter. You can Google him. Go to cbssports.com. It's all there. Dave's the best. Dave, as always, it's been an immense pleasure. Thank you so much.
Right back at you, gentlemen. Good luck in your leagues this weekend.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
And I'm being dead serious. It's Dan Roach's fault that I am not.
Well, you're good this year. I mean, this is your chance. You don't want to mess that up.
You know why I'm good partially?
Why is that?
Baker Mayfield. And everyone said that I was an idiot.
He throws a lot of interceptions each week.
I don't give an F what he does in terms of Tampa Bay winning or losing.
I don't know how he keeps scoring well. You throw like 2 or 3 interceptions a week. Isn't that points off?
Running backs.
Ah.
You want to make a trade? Because I have I have 6 starting running backs on my team because I picked up Kareem Hunt like a champ.
Good for you.
And I have no receivers. So if you want to.
I have Kamara and Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm all right.
Yeah, but what about a nice flex? If you got a flex running back, you're doing okay.
Brian Robinson.
I'm
doing all right.
You're all right. Well, Jahmyr Gibbs shares carries.
Still scores well.
All right. We'll be back in just a moment. Maybe we can talk a little bit about this Tua thing because I have a take on Tua that I have not heard, and it involves our Lord Jesus Christ. No, I have not heard this one, so I'm going to throw it out there. You guys tell me your thoughts.
Okay.
We'll be back. Here are the headlines.
Sports.
That question, every time we all suit up, we're all taking a risk that we could potentially get hurt, whether it's a concussion, a broken bone, anything.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. That's obviously Tua, however you pronounce his last name. And he's going to play a quarterback for the Miami Dolphins this weekend. Oh, no. He's had all these concussions. Why are they letting him play? Well, they have to. He's been cleared medically. And what are you going to do? The league obviously can't be overly thrilled with what's going on. But here's my thing. Tua has the right to play. The Dolphins have a right to play him. He's an adult. It's his decision. What if you're a defender? Like, what if you're the defender that, like, gives him his next concussion? Like, so I'm an edge rusher. I'm paid to rush the quarterback. I can be paid tens of millions of dollars a year, hundreds of millions of dollars in totality to rush the passer. That's what I am paid to do. That is the game that I am paid to play. There are a bunch of rules. I can't hit him high. A bunch of rules. I can't hit him low. I can't reach out and grab him. Fair enough. What if I run at him? I break free, or I'm a safety blitzing up the middle. No one touches me. I hit tag to a square in the chest, shoulder in the chest, helmet to the side. I knock him to the ground. He bumps his head against the ground, and then he doesn't get up. Now I'm the guy that gave him brain damage. That's not fair. That's like the death by police thing. You know what I'm saying? That's like when they make the police kill him because they're cowards. And now the police have to have that they killed the guy on their conscience. Like if I'm Matthew Judon, is because he's the only edge rusher I can think off the top of my head that ever played for the
You're
Patriots.
Hassan Reddick.
Well, no. I can
Okay.
think of edge rushers.
Okay.
I mean, I can think of the Bosa's. I'm not an idiot.
If
I'm
you're
trying to think
Matthew Judon, if you're Keon White, yes.
Okay, Keon White. Fair enough. You thought of one before me. If I'm Keon White and I'm playing the Dolphins, like I can't let up. I can't not hit him, and I can't not try to hit him hard.
That's the thing. Bert Burr sits in here every week and tells us 80% of any NFL roster doesn't know where they're going to be week to week. These guys are playing year to year. You're playing for your salary for next year. You can't think about that. You can't think about that at all. You can't afford to think about that.
So if I'm Lawrence Taylor and the Theismann injury happens where it was real gruesome and he tore up his knee and Taylor stands there and begs the doctors to come out and feels bad, I feel bad, but that's your knee. Like you can F up your knee as when you want your knee transplant and live the rest of your life normally. I'm talking about you could make a guy that his family can't communicate with them like a burden to his family for the rest of his life. That's unfair. That's the part that's unfair. Because everyone's focusing on, Tua's going to ruin his life. Tua's going to ruin his life. That's his business. Listen, if he wants to ruin his life, that's fine. If it's worth the gamble, it's not even really a gamble. It's going to happen. But I mean, if he's willing to deal with these consequences, same thing with like a heroin addict. Like if you're willing to deal with the consequences, then you can't make someone not do something they want to do. That's just the thing. You can punish them when they do it, but you can't make them not do it. There's no way. You can suggest they don't do it. You can try to guide them in the right direction, but you can't make them. But that's unfair to the defender. Because no one wants to be the guy that ruins his life for the last time. Because the last hit that knocked him down wasn't even a hit.
Yeah, that was an accident. That was DeMar Hamlin, middle of the field, and Tua crashed into him.
Hamlin's standing. Hamlin's the one who would have thought would have gotten injured on the play because Hamlin's standing there, and Tua barrels into him, helmet first into his chest, think he could break his ribs. So Hamlin didn't even hit him. Not only didn't do anything wrong, he didn't hit him. Tua did that to himself. I mean, Tua ran into a wall with his head. That's essentially what he did. So, I mean, Hamlin can't feel bad. I mean, what did I do? I'm just standing there. But what if I really lay him out? Like, I really lay him out. Crowd cheers, replays on TV. This is why you're paid. Greatest feeling in the world. And I lay him out. And now all of a sudden, he didn't get up. His arm starts freezing up. and he just lays there.
What's that maneuver called again?
I don't remember. I can't remember anything.
Okay.
For anything to sink into my brain, it's got to go through so much
Fencing
stuff.
maneuver.
Did you say it in my ear or on the air?
On the air, fencing maneuver.
Thank you, because if you said it in my ear, it would have been disingenuous of me to come up and say it. It's dumb, that's why. Fencing that's a dumb name for it.
Continue. Sorry. Yes.
Well, I'm just basically
You were
repeating
rolling.
myself.
You were okay. The time where a defender might think, might have a second thought is when Tua is veering towards the sideline.
Oh, sure.
And he's not quite there. He's almost there. And you see quarterbacks at times try and deke defenders and try and gain those extra few yards and make defenders look bad. But again, if you're one of those 80% and you got to bring the man down in the middle in the field, you got to lay him out. That's the problem. And while I'm sure the defender in question in this hypothetical scenario will have misgivings, you can't blame him for doing that.
I'll give you an example of what you're talking about. Joe Namath at the end of his career played for the Rams, and he could not walk. Like he really couldn't. Worse than any quarterback you ever see. He couldn't move. They were like on the 5-yard line. Play breaks down. He starts running into the end zone. He's on the 1-yard line, and he puts his hand up, and the defender just goes, fine.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to hit the old man. Because he probably would have gotten in anyway. Yeah. He's like, I'm not going to hit him. But, I mean, they can't play that way.
Tua's not Tom Brady. He's not Joe Namath. He's not anything like that.
But it's his head. Yeah, it's his head. But it's his head. It's not the.
I know.
You know, it's you. Look at if you had a clean shot at Brady, take a clean shot at Brady. You know, like if he's standing in the pocket and you beat your defender, I mean, you're going to hit him as hard as you can.
I just don't think the defender. It's not going to happen. Arizona, whoever name an edge rusher for Arizona, whoever has a clean shot at him is not going to let up.
But I think to go back to the thing that happened with this last concussion and DeMar Hamlin, it's not the obvious ones that you worry about. It's just an awkward fall where the head slams back into the ground, or it's Tua who says he's going to try and play smart and remain available for the team. Yeah, if it's like an important game and, you can pick up an extra yard and a first down where it's desperately needed for a chance to, win or extend the game, then he's going to put his helmet down and he's going to go for it. And I don't know how you convince – this is the toughest part about it, Fred. I don't know how you convince a 26-year-old otherwise.
Oh, well, but that's his business. See, that's not – I don't care about that. That's his business. It's the guy that's responsible for it that I'm concerned about because he didn't choose to do that.
Yeah.
He didn't choose to be put in a position where it's pretty obvious that a hit's going to knock this guy out for the rest of his life. And as fans, so he's going to get hit. He's not going to get up. He's going to get into the fencing position. All these things are going to happen, and everyone's going to go, oh, my goodness. And the TV's going to go, we'll go to break. And then they'll go to break, and they'll come back, and everyone will be praying, and they'll say, this is, oh, my God. Da, 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 da. But we know it's going to happen. It's like watching an execution and then pretending like, oh.
Remember
Tua? It's almost like guilty. It's watching a boxer who's punch drunk already when there's been a million of them sit there and take a beating. That's what it's like. It's sad.
Yeah. Remember Tua before the season, Hardy was saying, I've taken whatever it was, jiu-jitsu, self-defense. I've learned how to take falls better, and that should help me. It doesn't help anything. Football is a violent contact sport. It's unpredictable. I mean, your scenario is perfect. It's going to be 3rd and 7, and he's scrambling for a first down, and he decides it's late in the game, and Miami's down 4, and it's at the 40-yard line. He's got to get that first down. He's going to take a shot, and that's where it's a coin flip.
And I know, Fred, what you said about, the player who's on the, the other side of it, whether it's someone that he just runs into or it's an edge rusher who takes him down and he ends up hurting his head. It's going to suck for that guy in the moment, but people aren't going to blame him.
No.
You don't I don't think that's
a good point.
That's something that
No, they're not going to blame him, but he's still going to be responsible for it. That's the thing. Is that he's not going to get blamed for it and no one's going to say you're a bad guy, but he's going to know that he's the one that did it. I mean, these are human beings. That's what the deal is. All right, we'll be back. Bob Socci will be joining us.
Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub. absolutely free. Connect with the shows, get podcasts, and more. Get it where you get your apps or at 985sportshub.com. Now, more Tuncher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
I think he's done a tremendous job. He's seeing things well. He's only continuing to see things well. You know, really, it's my job to be at the right spot at the right time in the timing of the offense. So trying to do that to the best of my ability. Sometimes coverages dictate certain things. Sometimes different things make things different. But obviously with his mobility too, just working with him and the scramble drill and different things like that, he's doing a tremendous job.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us on YouTube. Simply search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. And then if you subscribe, big money our way. Not us personally, but the company, because it's the future. The Beasleys are a family-owned company. I mean, you're literally helping a family. How you can, and it's just as simple as subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything. You should really tithe the radio station. Pre-tax, gross, not net.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Tithing.
Yeah, it's 10%.
Yeah.
10% of your income to our sponsors. Northeast Men's Health. You got Cat's Eye Pest. These are all places. Give 5% each. You guys got anything you want to throw in there?
Well, I was just thinking maybe 5% to your favorite sponsor, maybe 5% directly to us.
I don't need the tax implications.
Cut out the middleman.
That becomes a whole thing. You might want to turn your mic on. John.
Raise my hand. I do need it, so 5% to me would be great. I'll take your 5% too, Fred, if you don't want it.
If you do that, you're going to end up in jail because you're not going to be able to figure out the ins and outs of how to do that tax-wise. In fact, the IRS better take a look at Johnny Wall. It looks like he's playing fast and loose with the rules.
Right.
His wife, after all, is a bigwig accountant.
Yep. Actuary. Yep.
Maybe take a look. Bob Socci, voice of the New England, because John's. I mean, let's face it, a lot of inheritance.
All I'm saying is, if you don't want your 5%, I would be glad to take it off your hands.
That's a controversial statement. Bob Socci, voice of the New England Patriots. He joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Now, everyone take a step back.
Bob also very married to a very successful woman. We all are. Oh, sorry, Fred.
Whoa. First of all,
most of us married to very successful spouses. Most. Sorry.
First of all, if anyone thinks that's a shot at my ex-wife,
no, you don't have a wife. Is what I forgot. I'm sorry.
Bob,
that's just mean.
Bob, I'm divorced.
Man.
Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Bob.
Good morning,
Bob,
guys.
get away in, Bob. First of all,
I don't know how to respond to that. Fred,
it's with sympathy and a hand around my shoulder.
I absolutely. Can I give you a hug? I can't give you a hug. Can you give a hug virtually? Do you want a hug virtually?
No,
I forget how human touch feels. That's how lonely I am, Bob. Bob, I have to read this, gentlemen. Bob Socci's hot takes are powered by Bigelow Tea.
Awesome.
If you want to know what the cure to your pain is and keeps Bob's voice going in peak condition, it's his hot cup of Bigelow Tea. I can't tell you how it soothed me on my lonely nights. Me and a hot cup of Bigelow Tea, warming my souls while I die inside. Hot takes and hot tea. I'm joking, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Hot takes and hot tea. Bigelow Tea, grab a mug and tea proudly. Bobby, I'm going to be at the game on Sunday with my son and his friend. They would like to stop by the booth.
Well, they're welcome to stop by the booth, and they just might meet my son and his sister, who will be in the booth at some point in time. I'm sure they're coming to the game as well. So we'll be one big happy family. In our case, your case, maybe we can get our families together, whatever. But you're always welcome. But you're always welcome, Fred.
Advice: keep your kids away from my son in a non-parental situation as my son holding drugs. Just a heads up. Keep your kids away from that. All right. So, Bob, what is, everyone's going crazy about Mayo's comments about the teams being soft, and we played Brady talking about it, and he said, well, there's quantifiable ways you can. And Belichick, he says, Belichick said this, would say this in practice. Belichick, who was so adamant when he was on whatever the hell show he does, whichever one of the millions ones he does, he was talking about, oh, they're not soft and this and that. Well, Brady said Belichick actually used to quantify it: run defense, running the football, and special teams. What do you make of the whole controversy swirling around Gerard Mayo right now?
Oh, Fred. Oh boy, it's been an eventful 8 weeks in the last 5 days or whatever. When you look at the post game press conference, the reaction to it the following day, yesterday down at Gillette. And I will say first of all too, I think that I thought Gerard's messaging, one of the strengths that he would have as young head coach would be, drawing from his media experience. And obviously there have been some hiccups, some missteps along the way. And, in the case of this past week, coming in and calling his team soft in the wake of the game, and then the next day trying to contextualize that and qualify it, saying it was really soft yesterday and so forth. And then what's happened thereafter. And I look at the way the players are receiving it, and I think that, not surprisingly, a lot of the guys who've been around here for a long time and are connected to the Patriots, at least, through 1 degree of separation, 2 degrees, whatever it might be, who have some connection to, the good years for the Patriots, the championship years. Jonathan Jones, for example, spoke to the team and then spoke to Karen Gregan about his message to the team. And what we've heard from those guys, Kendrick Bourne wasn't part of those championship teams, but he's been around good teams, and he came here in 2021. Some of the guys who've been around just even in the last year or so, who wanted to be part of the rebuild with Gerard Mayo. It's something we heard when players re-signed to the Patriots: Hunter Henry, Michael Wenu. They wanted to be part of this turnaround for the team. But what worries me at this point is that you've had so much turnover since the start of this season, and you have a lot of guys, including one who's really been, front and center in the last couple of days, KJ Osborne, who's here on a 1-year deal. So you have a lot of either brand new guys who are unfamiliar with, what has been the best parts of the Patriots culture, but also, who were familiar with Gerard Mayo, going through last season with him, going through the offseason with him, OTAs, offseason conditioning, training camp, et cetera. Well, there's a lot of guys right now who weren't part of that. And so I just wonder how is the message being received by them? And you have to have enough of the guys who have spoken publicly, like Bourne, like Okwale, like Jones, as I mentioned, and like Hunter Henry and some of the others we heard, Kyle Duggar, that they can really command that room and get that message across, and it has to be received by those other guys. So that's kind of where I'm at right now at this point. I think, what's been said over the last few days has been said, and it's really about what they're going to do going forward and how they can, try to make the best of this situation right now for themselves and try to kind of get back on a good course, midway through the season.
Yeah, I know David Andrews isn't playing right now, but one of the things that he said about, and you kind of alluded to it there, was, the way he always took comments like that and the way he's taken them throughout his playing career is to say, to initially you get your feathers ruffled a little bit, but then you say, all right, you think I'm soft? Watch this. And then go out and play in a certain way that proves to be otherwise. Now, I don't know how you do that as an entire unit, but individually for the player, it probably has much to do with the person. And maybe the people who take the most offense to it are the guys who are really soft. And that's actually, speaking to them on a level that they don't like being called out publicly, of course, but also because it's got more than just a ring of truth to it. For the people who can do something about it and aren't really soft, they get pissed off and say, okay, now I'm going to actually go do something. I guess what it boils down to is how each player is going to internalize it and how they're going to, whether or not they will do anything to show otherwise.
Yeah, Hardy, I totally agree with you. And I think it's about self-awareness and about seeking self-improvement. I think about, like, for example, I'm going to pick on KJ, who I really like. I mean, just in the interactions I've had with him. And I thought he would be a player that could help this team when the Patriots acquired him from the Vikings. But, for example, I don't know why he posted what he posted after the game. I don't know how you could put that out there and think that it was going to serve a productive purpose. The messaging between him and his friend and the backstory of him not playing. Particularly for me, this is one of the questions I had when I read it. Well, Demario Douglas was sick, and we understood as the game went along and he was out that he was battling nausea before the game.
Yep.
And even if you weren't part of the game plan and didn't expect, you were told maybe you weren't going to be active that day, or you were definitely told you weren't going to be active. I think you still, you're aware of the situation. See your teammate is at that position is not doing too well. Even, if that wasn't the case, what if somebody goes down or gets sick overnight? I mean, I think you still have to prepare yourself mentally, like hopeful that you're going to get your shot and just be ready just in case. I mean, guys are always talking about you got to be ready when that moment comes. You never know when it's going to happen. And then beyond that, I think about guys like, I'm going to give you two names from my past that I've thought about a lot the last couple of days at the receiver position in particular. One is Philip Dorsett, and the other is Jacoby Myers. Philip Dorsett came to this team late in the 2017 preseason. In fact, between the last preseason games, start of the regular season. He'd been a high pick, really didn't work out well, or as well as expected with Indianapolis. And for the most part during his career with the Patriots, he wasn't a guy who was targeted a lot, didn't have a lot of big catches necessarily, but he stayed ready, had a great attitude. I had never heard anybody say anything other than a very complimentary thing about Philip Dorsett as a teammate. And he gets his chances in big moments, like in the 2018 AFC Championship game. And he makes a key catch in that game for a touchdown for the Patriots. And I think he was just solid and consistent. And he waited for his opportunities, and he caught the ball with regularity. And I think about a guy like that, and compare him to, say, KJ Osborne. Understandable, he's here on a one-year deal. He wants to have numbers so he can get a better deal next year. Then I think about Jacoby Myers, and I think people forget Jacoby was in his second season. 6 games into the season, he'd been inactive twice. He'd been barely targeted. He barely played. The only reason he really got into the lineup is that Julian Edelman got hurt against the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, he wasn't on social media before that, clamoring for playing time. He got himself ready, and when the moment came for him to be productive or have that chance, he was. And I think some of these young players, and I'm going to go to that wide receiver room again, have to take note. And they're not going to recognize those lessons, but, social media, that's not serving your purpose in terms of being a better football player, being a more productive part of the Patriots, and overcoming the challenges that you faced thus far. And those challenges are understandable given the jump from college football to the NFL, even if you were great in college.
I want to know how your trip to London was. I want to know what you saw. Zolak was holding forth.
Statues. I saw his Instagram. He saw statues. Yeah. He took pictures of statues and posted them on the Instagram.
Was it like Mexico City with you and Scott?
No, well, first of all, Scott had Amy with him. So,
okay. There was a governor on that engine.
I understand.
I don't need to bring up. I don't mean to bring up another man, with his wife.
Oh, that's very offensive. You just let the cat out of the bag.
That's a third.
Scott was traveling with his spouse. How dare you? I mean, but, Scott, if you're listening, it's not our fault.
I'm sorry, Bob. We can't have you back on after that.
Okay.
Jesus.
But no, look, it was John, a game notwithstanding, and let's say the game after the first 2 series notwithstanding, it was an awesome experience for me. I'd never been to London. I did take a lot of pictures of statues. I did pick up pictures of the Red Box and some of the cliches of the King's Guards and so forth. And I was bouncing around a lot because we practiced. We had an event at the Harrow School, which was really just a fascinating setting. A boarding school in England that includes among its graduates Winston Churchill, Lord Byron,
Gollum.
Really a cool place. And you go to a place like that, and right away, and you're driving there past all these old English Tudor houses, and you look at the chimneys, and I'm thinking of Dick Van Dyke, in that bad British accent, when I look at those old chimneys up there, and
chitty bang bang.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And the whole, so every block, every building, every step along the way, for me was really like reinforcing just how young the United States is, and how old Europe, especially a city like London, is. And absolutely, I was rubbernecking the whole, walking through the streets of London, Hyde Park to Westminster, the House of Parliament, Westminster Abbey, Big Ben, statues of Churchill. There's a beautiful park near Big Ben in the House of Parliament with a number of those statues that I photographed. And you can go to my Instagram page and see those as well. But I will give you the one drawback from London. I also went to an awesome soccer match, particularly football match, at Craven Cottage. This is the oldest stadium in London, built in, I think, 1896. It is the home of Fulham FC, and it was the total Ted Lasso experience. I went with 3 of the writers, and we arrived at the Crabtree, which is a proper pub. It's in the town. This is a completely residential area along the Thames. And at the Crabtree, the Uber driver pulled up, let me out, and I could hear chanting and singing coming from inside and on the patio there. And, the fish and chips, the whole British experience right there. And then everybody at about 10 minutes to 3, puts their pints down or puts their cups down and walks through the neighborhood and eventually along the Thames toward Craven Cottage, the home of Fulham FC. And, they have the ticket booths just like when people walk up to the dog pound in Ted Lasso. And then where our seats were, thanks to the Jaguars. Thank you, Shad Khan and the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's the owner of that team as well. And we got some comp tickets. Walking along the river into the match. And, it was a great experience. The only problem is I think there were 4 goals in the match and we missed 3 of them. And that's because you're not allowed to drink beer while facing the pitch. So everybody runs down at halftime to get beer. And most of the people there chug them and get back in their seats. But the crowd that I was with, and it was great company on the concourse. Chad Graff and the Athletic at the time, Nicole Yang from the Boston Globe. We just hung out. We ate mincemeat pies on the concourse and finished our beers and enjoyed them. But we could hear the crowd reacting, so we wound up missing 3 of the 4 goals in the match.
They ruined it for you.
They did. They did.
I feel like I'm in your living room and you're showing me slides. You're going into great detail, Bob.
Well, you lost Fred at Ted Lasso. Fred is not a Ted Lasso.
I understood. I love Ted Lasso.
And I'm just feeling rage by how the management and sales here travels. The car services and everything else.
Well, Freddie, I'll tell you this. What I spent on an Uber driver, I saved on my meal. I think I had 3 slices of pizza that night. So I got the tickets. So my great company provided the beer and the food at the match. So
is that the Patriots or the station?
Fred, I'm a full-time employee of 98.5 The Sports Hub. I'm part of that one.
Where we stay at the Super Bowl at a dump by the airport.
I've heard and seen where you stay.
Are you at it? You think I'm lying? You think I'm playing radio?
Wait one second.
Houston was fine. Phoenix was not.
Houston, you guys did at the frickin' Four Seasons.
Yeah, we were about 3 blocks from the.
Whoa! The Four Seasons?
Not at the Four Seasons. We were like a Hilton, like 2 blocks from the.
And it was fine.
That was fine.
But there have been Super Bowls where we stayed. Yeah. Minnesota was bad. We stayed in a dump by that dumb mall.
That was bad for everybody. That was at a Holiday Inn Express.
Minneapolis, not good.
Well, you know why it was bad is because of these lavish European trips. All right. Well, Bob, look, I'm going to come see you. You bring some more pictures.
Yeah. Hey, can I tell you one very quick drawback on England?
Sure, Bob.
In the press box, usually I go and have my Bigelow tea bags, which you'll see on Sunday for the Jets game, and I get hot water in my cup and I make my tea. Well, there they brewed the tea, and they put the tea out, brewed tea in pots. I couldn't get hot water for Bigelow tea. And also, they don't believe in flavored teas generally or herbal teas. It's got to be breakfast tea.
That's too bad.
First world problems, Bob.
It is a real problem, Fred.
Yeah. Okay, Bob.
I don't care for that part of the story. That's bad on them.
Everyone loves Bigelow tea. Bob, thank you so much. Bob Socci will be calling the game on Sunday. Thank you, Bob.
Guys, I appreciate it. Thanks.
See you, Bob.
There you go.
I'm looking at the map right now of Houston, and the George R. Brown Convention Center.
Yeah, we were a couple of blocks from there.
Yeah, I believe at the Four Seasons.
No.
Hardy, I swear my children's lives
not
we
at the Four Seasons. Not, I can tell you, I was there too. Not at the Four Seasons.
Like we weren't. You're debating something that didn't happen.
We were.
Are you out of your mind? You think the Beasley Company put us in the Four Seasons?
It was like a Hilton or something.
There's an Embassy.
Yeah, it was probably the Embassy Suites by Hilton. That's probably where you thought we were.
I also know that you had a rental car, which also bugged me because
we didn't have a rental car in Houston.
I didn't.
I didn't. Oh,
somebody did.
Yeah, because he's a maniac and he gets the car and he
That's
parks
not
it.
fair. You let him right into that. You
no.
knew.
They don't even know what I'm talking about. This is not even an insult.
All right.
This isn't even really an insult. We talked about this on the air. He's a maniac that would rent cars and then they would just sit in a parking spot that he had to pay for the whole weekend.
Yeah, but
I never rode in a car.
Each show was allotted one rental car, and we were literally 20 miles outside of town on the energy corridor is what it was called. And we were on our show, we were in different hotels. So every day to get to the show, somebody had to backtrack like 5 miles back down the highway and then go back to the other hotel to pick the other person up. I'm like, boy, if we could have 2 cars, this would be a lot easier. Sorry, one of the cars is accounted for the morning show that sat in the parking garage.
The
for
last
the week.
thing I want when I'm out of town is a rental car. Believe me, in a city, I didn't want a rental
We
car.
were within walking distance of all the
And
restaurants.
even if we weren't, in Atlanta, I took an Uber to the place. I don't want to navigate the streets at 4:00 in the morning. That's the last thing I
Atlanta,
want to do.
we were right downtown too. We were walking distance from the.
Yeah, but in the morning, sometimes I would still take an Uber. And in Atlanta, we were in the big cylinder. I like Atlanta though because I have friends there.
Yeah.
All right, listen, we went far too long. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sport.
sign of if a team is going to have a chance is their ability to create competitive joy with each other. And so I saw that first 3 days of training camp. I saw moments of that throughout preseason, and I saw that during the ceremony, and I saw that during the game.
Zolak and Bertrand, weekday mornings at 10 on the Sports Hub.
It's called Rising and Grinding.
Start your
Got
day.
your finger on the pulse, Fred.
Begin your
Seldom
day
right and never wrong.
right here. Is that Dutcher or is that Hardy?
I know, looks like a poodle. It's an effing poodle, dumbass.
The Sports Hub.
You know, I got an idea for a bit. The email bit. We should do the email bit. It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
Hardy's theorizing that Adam might be annoyed at us for going so late last break, which is he should be because we were very late. But I'll tell you, that was a very long tale by Bob Socci for a question that could have been answered very quickly.
Well, blame Wallach for asking. I want to hear about your European vacation. I mean, John, you got to own that one.
Well, given the Mexico City events.
Got me there, Hardy.
Good for you, John.
Oops.
I want to read this one. This is from Victory Taylor. It's not a bad one. So don't worry. Good morning, Fred. Fred, I'm always going to love you. Well, what do you mean that men have been damaged by their mothers? Explain yourself, Fred. Love, Victory. We did a story about this creep looking at the lady's feet. And my point, Victory, which I emailed you back, was very pro-woman. I said, you took the mother part to heart. I'm saying women don't have these weird fetishes. To my knowledge, men, it's always men that are under the cars. It's always men that are in the tree. It's always men that are hanging in the closet.
Oh, men are the problem, for sure.
Yeah, so that's my point. The foot fetish to me is very odd. It's funny and a little harmless. Now, listen, it's hiding under a car and looking at women's feet is a violation of their privacy, and you should be in jail. I'm not making light of that. But the foot fetish as a rule is a funny thing to me. But I don't see women walking around wanting to see men's feet. Not at all. I wonder if it's because men are so easily accessible that women are such a mystery to so many of us that there are these weirdness comes into play. Because a woman could really just, there's a secret place if you just grab a guy, he's 9 times out of 10 going to not mind. You know, it's not a hard nut to crack. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Stop that. Stop that. All right, what do you guys got?
Well, it's not an email, but it's a tweet that I received earlier. Somebody is very upset because says Nicholas kept hanging up on him.
Ooh.
This is Bazooka Joe, hype train conductor. Nicholas, did you hang up on Bazooka Joe, the hype train conductor?
Nick can't remember tomorrow. He's got a fake heart.
He said, you guys have no idea what you're talking about with the cover band thing. I'm honestly...
Oh, yeah, he was on hold. Nick put him on hold.
Oh, I'm honestly so surprised this is your take on it. Wish I could get through and talk to you guys. Nick, do you remember what his take was with regard to our discussion of bands playing in bars?
Because that's what we want is you to really get into it with the callers before you put
Nick
them on
says
hold.
he was defending cover bands in Boston. I keep an ear usually on. I have to just say that Nick's mindful of when it's appropriate to put a call on, when it's not, etc. Like
well,
that. I think this guy was on hold and he gave up. I don't think he was dropped off.
Nick's instructions he's good at is to put every call on unless it's something that's going to make the person unknowingly look bad.
Okay, so this
if
is...
If you understand what I'm saying.
I do. This is the question. If you're going to a bar or a restaurant, you're having a meal, maybe there with your family, as I described earlier, and you see a band setting up, and you're not going to be able to finish in time, the band is going to start playing. You're going to be subjected to it. Would you rather have them doing originals, or would you rather have it be a cover band?
I would rather have it be nothing. And I'm not.
That's not a choice, Fred.
A cover band.
See, I go cover band too.
Yeah, I do too.
But then if they're playing Dave Matthews, I'd rather they just play whatever the hell their crap is. If it's at night, like I'll be the opposite's true. If I'm at a bar at night for some whatever reason, I'm like with people, which has happened. I'd rather be a band playing originals, quite frankly. Zach says, "Hey boys, I have some beef to pick with the former backup quarterback you all love, as Hardy knows very well from my frequency of contribution."
Zach has actually provided a bit for us. He was on the show. He was one of our. He was a moderator expert for us.
He said, "I have laid claim to the annoying listener who requests songs as rejoins label ever since I was a listener to him on the old show. He made certain that he played his requests. But now, little Scotty Z comes along with a new, albeit brilliant, bit of requesting songs for you to play. And you know what? I'm miffed. What does he think of besides a literal program namesake? Annoying no-names who listen because they desperately try to kill time should be the only ones sending emails requesting Thin Lizzy's jailbreak by the time you come back from break. I will not begrudge Zoe this. As to be honest, I've laughed every song he said, but he's an original thief, I say.
Oh, unoriginal thief, yes.
Unoriginal thief, I say. Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of words.
I got about 4 or 5 emails here and tweets about you using Milliken math in the first hour to try and figure out how many technical fouls that Draymond Green has had in his career. So we're just going to go by that. I have a positive one here. This is from Charles. John, good morning. Don't you think the way Fred mentored Milliken's cousin and Isaac remembers or resembles the way Nat Bosiccio mentored Brandon at the Peach Pit?
Yes.
Oh, boy, that's deep. I don't even know that one.
Yeah. It was Brandon gambling too much on the Lakers, and Nat had to save him from Duke, the bookie, at the end of the episode. You remember that one?
I remember that Brandon had a gambling problem
That's where
for one
it first
episode.
manifested itself.
And I also remember Brandon had a drinking problem for one episode. As there's usually a day or two arc for the big alcoholism.
He got bombed at one party and crashed the car with Mondale. It wasn't good.
No, but then it all was done by the end.
Yeah.
You didn't hear so much about it the next episode. Mitch says, "Where is Tyler Milliken's cousin? I expect a live version of Banner 18 at the Celtics ceremony, but alas, nothing. Is he spending time with another station? Can you reach out and see how he's doing? Does he ever think to call us once in a while?" That's Mitch in New Bedford.
I've not heard from him.
I actually got a text from Milliken's cousin yesterday.
Hey!
Oh, yeah?
How about that?
Still wearing that chain that everyone excuses?
It was.
I know the fashion now is larger chains, but I do believe they're made of precious metal more often than they're made of tin, like Tyler Milliken's cousin. You know who wears a lot of cloth around their wrists is our own Adam 12. He has maybe 16.
It's not that
cloth wristbands on.
I have 5 bracelets on currently.
Man,
and they're all on his
precious
left
to me.
hand.
Yes.
I'm sure they all mean a lot, Adam, but they could just as easily be put in a keepsakes box.
Yeah, perhaps they will.
Do you ever wash them?
No.
And what are they made of? Like, I know, like there's one of
It's
rubber.
like the craft ones that the kids make, like with there's a whole craft kit you get.
The amount of disease that has been picked up by that. Do you wash your body with those on?
No, I don't.
So you do take them off?
I do. Yeah, I take them off to sleep at
Why
night.
don't you put them somewhere safe, Adam?
Well, my wrist is a safe place. That's where I like to put them.
No, but they could be damaged by wind and snow and rain.
I have one that I wear just in the summertime that I swim with, and it gathers up all that wonderful lake water and ocean water.
Do you smell it while you're alone?
No, I don't do that. That's tremendous.
Thank you.
I had a kid in school who liked to smell his cast. I was like, stay away from that kid.
Oh, I'd be the same guy.
Oh, would you?
Yeah,
Really?
your own weird smell. Yeah, I don't know which one of us is not guilty of that. Have you ever reached behind your ear and you're like, dear Lord, that shouldn't smell like. I got to start washing behind my ears. Something's going on back there.
You don't ever take your ring off? Oh, again, sorry, Fred. Take your wedding ring off and give your little wedding. No?
No.
No, sometimes.
No, but now that I don't have a wedding ring, I often go around that area.
Good.
Hey, yo.
No. Nope.
Hey, yo. You take a shot, I come back tenfold.
That was maybe the worst thing you've ever said in life. Not on this show, not into a microphone, just the worst words that have ever left your mouth.
I just want you to know that you started this. You never would have happened if you hadn't poked him one more time. You have only yourself to blame for that one.
All right. When we come back, we will do the award-winning stack segment.
Yes.
No, and my wedding ring never smelled. That's on your hand.
The ring doesn't smell, but underneath the ring.
What's your ring made of?
Platinum.
Yeah, so was mine. Where it is
just
now
smells
is
like kind of like
anyone's guess. I really don't know where it is.
Pawn shop?
Oh, yeah. They wanted it real bad. They're like, we could melt this down for $10. We want the platinum band. No, I just don't. I can't remember what I do with it. I feel kind of bad. Now my ex-wife traded her engagement ring in for this necklace.
Oh.
Which I encouraged.
Yeah, that's
yeah. Why just sit around with it? Like,
Yeah.
it's worth. And I'm glad she didn't sell it for money. In a way, I'm glad that she turned it into something meaningful
Get
to
some
her.
jewelry, sure.
Yeah, I still get along with her very well, Hardy.
I know you do. I think it's. I,
see
think
her
it's.
every day.
I think it's great the way you guys are co-parenting and managing and relating.
We are good friends. We just shouldn't live in the same house together, and I think other people can relate to that. As long as we haven't argued in like a year. And I see her every day. As long as there's a place to separate and we're not sleeping in the same house, then we're okay.
It's good.
But I do enjoy your divorce jokes because I'm making all this up and I'm in terrible pain.
It does bring a smile to my face in an otherwise dreary, dreary day.
I'm your Ziggy. All right, very good. We will be back with the award-winning stack.
Sports Hub headlines.
Bruins will try to bounce back.
thinking, what could I possibly have missed from the show? It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
Hey! We are Toucher and Hardy. We are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel and The Stack. It's brought to you by D'Angelo. Grilled sandwiches, freshly grilled, freakishly good. The D'Angelo Classic Steak and Cheese, savory steak, and melty American cheese piled high on golden brown bread. Devour one today.
Do you know what A24 is?
Is it another one of Socci's Stories of London?
I do.
What is it? Well,
Oh, I know what it is. It's a movie company.
Yeah, film company.
All right, very good. All right, and they made some very good movies.
Indeed.
Uncut Gems, Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I could not watch. Tried. Didn't like it.
What? Which one?
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, I never saw that.
Yeah. But they're going to, in this new film, make certain movie theaters smell like blueberries during a scene of the upcoming
On Golden
Hubert-
Pond. when he loses his wits and he gets lost in the blueberry patch.
No, man, now you're going out to pick berries again.
I'm getting lost. I lost my wits.
Don't get lost, Norman. Chelsea's coming home today, and Billy wants you to take him out on the Thea 4.
I've lost my marbles. One of us is doing a real impression. The other one's just doing everything he ever does.
Norman, you're my knight in shining armor, and I love you.
I've lost my wits. Who are you? I have a friend who I
I'm
talk to.
Ethel
in
Thayer. I'm your wife. you
Ethel
big-
Smith. I don't know. I like these blueberries, and I'm lost. And I don't know where home is. Up, it's back. Now I can think again.
You're just in time for your birthday party, Norman. Happy birthday to you.
I'm Hollywood royalty. I got a bunch of messed up family.
Indeed, you do, Norman.
I have a friend.
And here's one now. Chelsea, she got married to that man who went on to have a career as a television actor.
She was on the other side in Vietnam.
I know you're not fond of Hanoi Jane.
Yes,
But
indeed.
she's still your daughter, Norman.
I have a friend who I only talk to in that Larry Flynn voice. That's pretty much the only way we communicate. My friend from high school. Hello.
It's kind of a kissel too.
It's a kissel, yeah. It's a total. I mean, Larry Flint didn't start off like that. Larry Flint's like, but but that didn't get funny. That's too hard to do. And the things we say to each other in that voice. Oh my goodness! If anyone ever taped one of those conversations, I'd be in deep yogurt.
I think it was on Comedians in Cars. Jerry Seinfeld was having a discussion with somebody, and they were talking about who's the one friend you talk to, and Seinfeld had one guy that he said he talks to, and if they ever recorded those conversations, he said they'd both be put in jail.
I know who it is. It's the African American comic that he's on an episode of Seinfeld. He used to host a Comedy Central stand-up thing or an MTV one. I know who it is. I'll think of it.
Martin Lawrence.
No, not he never broke big. Mario
Joyner.
Van Peebles.
Mario Joyner. Thank
Joyner.
you. Mario Joyner. I believe is his best friend.
Oh, all right. Anyway, this movie
Not interesting, I guess.
called Heretic. Well, we got to get to the blueberry thing. There's a scene where somebody tells him, my wife is baking a blueberry pie in the kitchen, and he goes in the kitchen, check out on the pie.
And the kid's having sex with it.
And then once they're in there, apparently they're going to infuse the theater with the smell of blueberries.
They've tried this before in the 50s.
Yes.
Yeah, this was a thing that they tried in the 50s, like smelling, like the smell-o-vision thing.
Yes.
They 3D smells. They tried a bunch of stuff.
It can't go well.
No, it's not going to go. And you don't need this movie's already getting it got Hugh Grant is playing like a horror movie villain, which is obviously out of character for him or out of type.
You know where it
cast
would
for him.
work is if they were showing films that were nostalgia films, like films that had already been released. Here's where it would work, and I can't believe I'm giving this away for free, but I'm being dead serious. And it was like E.T. What did he eat? Reese's Pieces?
Yeah, Reese's Pieces.
And they found some way to like synthetically make that smell.
Oh, yeah.
And then it brought you back to childhood. and brought you back to that time because smell, I believe, triggers memories more than any one of other senses.
Yes.
And so if you could trigger that in people, you can get people crying at old movies. The way people went nuts when in the new Top Gun, Tom Cruise took the thing off the motorcycle, like the apron off the motorcycle. I have a guy I used to work with, not here in Atlanta, that cried when that happened. And if you can twist people nostalgically like that, if you could pump it a smell, I just gave you that for free, Hollywood. I'm a nice man. That's good timing.
They wanted to use M&M's in E.T. M&M said, no, we're not going to do any partnership.
That was wise.
Reese's Pieces said, sure, we'll even kick in for some advertising. Reese's Pieces sales jumped to 85% in the weeks following the release of E.T. in June of 1980.
Why would you turn down a movie using your product for free? Unless they were using it as a murder weapon, and then I'd still let them use it.
But they didn't want to do it.
Unless it was like Dahmer just drinking my product like constantly while he played with brains.
Yeah.
But short of that, shove it. Because every movie sells that space now. That pisses me off. I go to the movies a lot with my daughter. I go a lot with my daughter, a couple times a month. And it does piss me off that they show full-on ads. There's this Dua Lipa ad for Porsche. And at the end of the ad, she's like doing the commercial, like I'm writing the commercial, and it's like standard stuff. But at the end, she goes, and then they put the logo, up, but they'd never do that. Who's the copywriter of that ad? They'd never put the Porsche logo in the ad for Porsche? Has anyone else seen this and it's bothered them?
No, I have not.
I don't like that they play commercials before something you paid for, though. I don't. Preview's different.
Well, show up later.
I got to get my seat and my popcorn and my stuff.
It's assigned seating.
Yeah, but I don't play by the rules.
Okay.
I get my kicks having people kick me out. I sit in someone else's seat and I fart. Here, take that.